I expect a spirited debate today, I would remind my colleagues that each senator is limited to 5 minutes, and we're going to try to keep that as tight as we can today. There's 27 of us, and we all probably are going to want to have our opportunity. At the end of the 5-minute time frame, I will gently tap the gavel if it appears that things are starting to lapse over. I encourage my colleagues and our witness to conclude their remarks at the conclusion of this time. President Trump and Secretary Kennedy have made a steadfast commitment to make America healthy again. Under this administration, HHS has placed patients at the center of the healthcare system, empowering them with the tools and information they need to create a healthier future. We know that chronic diseases such as heart disease and cancer and diabetes are some of the leading causes of death in America. Now the department has a renewed focus on tackling the root causes of chronic disease and promoting prevention first. I look forward to exploring ways that the federal government can further align payment incentives to support healthy living and fight chronic disease. The administration has also prioritized efforts to end waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal health care programs, including through eligibility and enrollment verification. This critical work is not just about saving taxpayer dollars. It's about restoring trust and ensuring vital programs like Medicare and Medicaid are sustainable for generations to come. In July, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, announced that the agency identified 2.8 million Americans who were simultaneously enrolled in multiple Medicaid or Affordable Care Act exchange plans. Stopping this duplicate enrollment while working with states to ensure that individuals do not inappropriately lose coverage has the potential to save taxpayers $14 billion annually. CMS has also taken steps to provide states with additional immigration information to verify eligibility for federal health care programs. Preserving lifelines like Medicaid for those who are legally entitled under the law will ensure long-term sustainability. Congress has bolstered these efforts by passing the One Big Beautiful Bill. This bill enacts common sense reforms to reduce improper payments and brings needed personal accountability to the Medicaid program. These reforms will protect Medicaid and refocus the program on the most vulnerable patients, those whom the program was intended to serve. The OBBA also created the Rural Health Transformation Program, the single largest investment in rural health care in decades, to help stabilize and modernize the rural health delivery system throughout our country. These accomplishments reflect a vision for a healthcare system that is proactive, efficient, and patient-centered. While many of the issues discussed today may be partisan in nature, this committee has a deep history of bipartisan healthcare accomplishments. I remain committed to partnering with this administration and Ranking Member Wyden to enact policies that realign incentives in the prescription drug supply chain, expand access to telehealth, and ensure long-term stability in our physician payment system. Mr. Secretary, I look forward to hearing from you today about the administration's efforts to make America healthy again, and how we can continue to work together to achieve this shared goal. Thank you very much. Senator Wyden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the committee gathers today, the United States is in the midst of a health care calamity, the largest cuts to American health care in the history of our nation, and they are approaching like an avalanche. Last week, most of the senior leadership at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention were fired, or they resigned after refusing to bow to Robert Kennedy's unceasing crusade against vaccines. I traveled across Oregon last month, and the message was the same from one end of the state to the other. Families are confused. They're scared about who to trust about their health care. Robert Kennedy and Donald Trump have done so much to feed that mistrust. This morning, my staff, in partnership with Senator Alsop Brooks' team, is releasing a report that shows the disaster of Robert Kennedy's 203 days in office, every single day there's been an action that endangers the health and wellness of American families. Robert Kennedy has elevated conspiracy theorists, crackpots, and grifters to make life or death decisions about the health care of the American people. Robert Kennedy's tenure is so far marked by 3 calling cards. One is chaos at federal health agencies, leaving families, doctors, and the entire nation confused and frightened. Corruption that benefits Robert Kennedy, Donald Trump, and their friends at the expense of taxpayers, and higher health costs for families. I ask unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman, to enter this report into the record.
Without objection.
Then there's chaos. It's been obvious from the start that Robert Kennedy's primary interest is to take vaccines away from Americans. During his confirmation process, he claimed to be pro-safety and pro-science, but his actions reveal a steadfast commitment to elevating junk science and fringe conspiracies. His agenda has not been about choices and information for families. Just last week, he threatened doctors that deviated from the new anti-science vaccine guidelines he released that make it harder for pregnant women and children to get the COVID vaccine. And then there's corruption. Robert Kennedy's bizarre statements and actions beg the question, why? Democrats on this committee answered that question months ago. Robert Kennedy can enrich himself and his allies. His family still stands to gain from class action lawsuits against vaccine makers. Now, Robert Kennedy fired every member, every single one of the group responsible for making vaccine recommendations to doctors across the country under the false pretense of conflicts of interest. Meanwhile, many of the new members of the panel are outright vaccine deniers who've appeared as paid witnesses in lawsuits against vaccine makers. Their conflicts of interest and ethics disclosures remain hidden under lock and key. On top of all this bedlam in American healthcare, just 2 months ago, Donald Trump signed into law the largest healthcare cuts in American history to pay for tax breaks for the wealthiest people and massive corporations in our country. Republicans know these cuts are going to hit communities like a wrecking ball. That's why they pushed the most severe cuts until after the election. That's why their members already introduced bills to roll back some of the cuts. Make no mistake, though, those cuts are being felt right now. We're seeing hospitals in Idaho cutting payments, hospitals and nursing homes. Providence Seaside Hospital in Oregon announced they're shutting down their labor and delivery unit. Every family is going to feel the burden of Trump care in America. Premiums are going to spike next year, especially for those who buy health insurance on their own, but the effects will be felt by those who get insurance also through an employer. Congress has an opportunity to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits that lower the cost of premiums. Democrats are ready to pass an extension that stops a dramatic premium spike that forced many families to pay double what they do today. Instead of finding ways to help American families pay less for health care, Robert Kennedy is focused on his anti-vaccine mission, fueled by some kind of complex that the consequences be damned. Amid this litany of corruption and chaos, the one point I have to underline is Robert Kennedy puts children in harm's way every single day in America.
Don't all caps. Do not all caps in the comment
what
section.
Line must Robert Kennedy cross before some of you will also join this alarm? This weekend, under the cover of darkness, Robert Kennedy attempted to disappear hundreds of children under his care at Office of Refugee Resettlement facilities. These children here without parents or family were rounded up in the middle of the night and put on planes to Guatemala. Lawyers on the ground described
Disappear the children. Remember,
some who are here today were party to this in the middle of the night. And one child said,
remember, Putin and the Chinese president was just now overheard talking about using organs, children's organs, as a way to extend life from 70 years to 150 years. So they are using these kids' organs. And also, you know, they still got the 20K kids that got snatched up in Ukraine, right? How we know they're not using those kids' organs? Half of those kids might not even be here no more because they're organ harvesting. You gotta pay attention.
Said to their lawyer, why do they want to send me back? My mom is dead and my dad abuses me. Why do they want to hurt me? This was an actual conversation. These actions were illegal. Documents show that many of these children were in the country to escape trafficking in their homeland. Mr. Kennedy calls himself a
Where y'all coming in from?
Some kind of rich claiming from
the kids from Maui too, yeah.
Private jet.
Nobody said nothing about those kids.
Occasions. I don't think Robert Kennedy should be within 1 million miles of this job. Republicans on the committee had a chance to prevent the public health train wreck.
Jersey in the building.
Kennedy has engineered.
Canada in the building.
Voted for him. It is in the country's best interest that Robert Kennedy step down, and if he doesn't, Donald Trump should fire him before more people are hurt by his reckless disregard for science and the truth. I also would like to note Senator Cantwell has joined us in this effort. I hope, at the very least, Robert Kennedy has the decency to tell the truth this morning. Mr. President,
India in the building.
Chairman, I have a procedural request I'd like to make.
No all caps, please. No all caps, please.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Respect the mods. Respect the mods.
It's unfortunate that I have to say this, but this is a witness who has lied to members of the Senate Finance Committee. In response to over 35 written questions, including from me, he said, and I quote, that he would do nothing as HHS secretary that makes it difficult or discourages people from taking vaccines. That was clearly not true. His unprecedented unilateral actions to restrict access to COVID vaccines, that alone proves it. He tried to fire the Senate-approved CDC director after she chose the truth over what I consider his delusions. His prepared testimony, even today, includes the debunked lie that 500,000 children disappeared under the Biden administration's watch, a lie that the Trump administration is using as a pretext to hunt immigrant children and their families. So, my request, Mr. Chairman, and I think it's unfortunate that I have to do this, but given the unprecedented nature of the witness's behavior, I would ask now that the committee formally swear in Robert Kennedy as a witness.
Senator White and I will personally object and will reject your request. We will treat this witness as we treat all of the other administration witnesses who come before us. And let me just say again, as I said in my opening remarks, we will have some partisan disagreements today. We're having partisan disagreements right now, and I am having partisan disagreements with you on your characterization of the facts. The bottom line is we will let the secretary make his own case in his opening statement.
I'll only say, Mr. Chairman, that this committee's unwillingness to swear this witness is basically a message that it is acceptable to lie to the Senate Finance Committee about hugely important questions like vaccines. I think it's a great mistake, and that's why I've made the request. I understand that you're not going to grant it, and we can move on.
We'll get to the bottom of your accusations, but at this point, I'm going to turn to our witness, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. And Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Secretary, you may make your opening statement at this time.
Thank you, Chairman Grabo, and thank you, Ranking Member Wyden, and the invitation to appear before the committee today. Before I summarize what we've accomplished this year at HHS, I want to express my deepest condolence to the family of DeKalb County Police Officer David Rose, who gave his life to stop the gunfire attack on the CDC on August 8th. Officer Rose was a veteran. He was a husband and the father of 2 children. Officer Rose's widow, whom I visited, is expecting their 3rd child. I'd like Officer Rose's family to know that he remains in our prayers and that he will continue to be in our thoughts. Let me start with the big picture. Under President Trump's leadership, we at HHS are enacting a once-in-a-generation shift from a sick care system to a true healthcare system that tackles the root causes of chronic disease. Chronic diseases reach crisis proportions in our country. And finally, we have an administration that is taking action. The Maha report assessment, which the White House released in May, was the first government analysis of the key drivers of childhood chronic disease: ultra-processed foods, chemical exposures, physical inactivity, and over-medicalization. This month, we will follow with the MAHA report strategy, the Trump administration's solution for addressing each cause. At HHS, we haven't just been writing reports. We have been the busiest, most proactive administration in HHS history. In just half a year, we've taken on food dyes, baby formula contamination, the grass loophole, fluoride in our drinking water, gas station heroin, electronic cigarettes, drug prices, prior authorization, information blocking.
The committee will come to order. I apologize to you for that outburst, Secretary Kennedy. I would notify everyone else in the audience. Comments from the audience are inappropriate. If there are any further disruptions, the committee will recess until the police can restore order. Mr. Secretary, please proceed.
As I was saying, prior authorization, information blocking, and healthcare interoperability. We're ending gain-of-function research, child mutilation, and reducing animal testing. We are addressing cell phone use in schools, excessive screen time for youth, the lack of nutrition education in our medical schools, sickle cell anemia, hepatitis C, the East Palestine chemical spill, and many, many others. At FDA, we are now on track to approve more drugs this year than at any time in history. I'm also proud to say that HHS under President Trump is doing more with less. We have taken measures to fight waste, fraud, and abuse. Just by eliminating duplicative enrollments in CMS, we are saving taxpayers $14 billion a year. Meanwhile, we are expanding access for people who need it. We are ending racist diversity, equity, and inclusion practices and instead focusing on aiding low-income and vulnerable families, regardless of their race, which was the original intent of Title X. We're also pouring $1 billion into Head Start and the Administration for Children and Families. Compassion need not be the casualty of efficiency. I'd like to highlight some issues that have not gotten media attention. First, we are doing our part to fulfill the President's commitment to stop human trafficking, especially of children. We inherited a terrible humanitarian crisis from the previous administration with its open border policies, which allowed the appalling loss of 476,000 unaccompanied children. We have implemented policies now to ensure that that appalling tragedy can never happen again. We have knocked on 82,000 doors and located 22,000 of those children. I promise you that we will do more in the next 3 years. We are also addressing the disastrous health conditions in tribal communities on Native American reservations. I've met face-to-face with tribal leaders in dozens of communities and tribes in Alaska, Arizona, Idaho, New Mexico, and elsewhere. And I look forward to making HHS resources more available to those communities. One of the most significant initiatives under President Trump is the Rural Health Transformation Fund, part of the President's Big Beautiful Bill, which will provide the greatest investment of federal money into rural health care in history. Finally, I would like to address the recent shakeups at CDC. These changes were absolutely necessary adjustments to restore the agency to its role as the world's gold standard public health agency with the central mission of protecting Americans from infectious disease. CDC failed that responsibility miserably during COVID, when its disastrous and nonsensical policies destroyed small businesses, violated civil liberties, closed our schools, caused generational damage in doing so, massed infants with no science, and heightened economic inequality. And yet all those oppressive and unscientific interventions failed to do anything about the disease itself. America is home to 4.2% of the world's population, yet we had nearly 20% of the COVID deaths. We literally did worse than any country in the world. And the people at CDC who oversaw that process, who put masks on our children, who closed our schools, are the people who will be leaving. And that's why we need bold, competent, and creative new leadership at CDC. People able and willing to chart a new course. As my father once said, progress is a nice word, but change is its motivator, and change has its enemies. That's why we need new blood at CDC. That's also why it's imperative that we remove officials with conflicts of interest and catastrophically bad judgment and political agendas. We need unbiased, politics-free, transparent, evidence-based science in the public interest. Those are the guiding principles behind the changes at the CDC, and that is what you can expect all across our agency for the next 3 years.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. I'll begin with the questioning. And one of the first things I'd like to talk to you about is actually something that is under the auspices of CMS. And I spoke with Dr. Oz last night about this. I'm sure you're very familiar with it, though. And that is that in the One Big Beautiful Bill, there's a lot of attacks right now going on publicly about hospitals are in trouble. And the blame for that is placed on the bill, even though the bill hasn't even been implemented yet. The fact is, this committee held hearings on the troubles that rural hospitals are facing in the United States before the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. They've been facing difficulties in rural America for a number of years now. And the bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill, contained a rural health transformation program, which I would just like to ask you to comment on. This is the program which allocated $50 billion over the next 5 years to our rural community hospitals in the United States to help them deal with some of the financial crises that they are facing and transition to more stability. Could you comment on that program that is in the One Big Beautiful Bill?
Yeah, Senator, one of President Trump's campaign promises and one of the principal preoccupations, not only of Republican senators when I did my confirmation hearing, but also almost equally among Democratic senators, is crisis in rural health. We've had 120 rural hospitals closed over the past 10 years. These institutions are not just delivering health access to rural Americans, but they are economic centers, they are cultural centers for those communities. They are often the largest employer. They are...
Where's all those doctors that approved the COVID? Where the fuck is all those doctors at
jobs
that approved the
and they are the
vaccination?
centerpiece for those communities. So when they die, the communities...
You're gonna ask the people that's not medical. What do you think about the vaccination? Why aren't you asking the doctors?
On that promise. Right now, we spend about 6% of Medicaid funding is sent to rural hospitals. A very, very tiny slice, and that's one of the reasons they're in trouble. President Trump has now allocated through the One Big Beautiful Bill $50 billion, so $10 billion a year over the next 5 years. What we give to rural hospitals, that 6% represents $19 billion a year. So we're increasing that by $10 billion. So we're infusing.
Hey, this is a pretty long conversation. It's about 3 hours long. All 24 panelists has to address him for 5 minutes. Can we please get the likes up so that way the likes can at least match the amount of people that's in here? If you're real, I understand that, some systems might have bots or whatever, so everybody in here might not be real. But, where you coming in from, what state you coming in from, make sure you subscribe to the page. Make sure you do the things that YouTube allows you to do for free, right? Tapping the screen, getting the likes up. All these are the things that you can do for free to support the page. Your attention is one thing, and I appreciate the intention that you're giving us. you know, but we also still need the algorithm to, you know, feed us into it. So we need your help with staying in the algorithm by getting the likes up. You know, I know you guys are tired of all these bored news where they're not talking, nobody's saying nothing, there's no feedback. Over here, we give you the news, but we give it to you with feedback. Your comments matter. Oklahoma in the building. Appreciate you. Bro, them vaccines ain't it. Yes, according to what they said the vaccines might have took out more people than COVID, allegedly. Australia in the building. What's going on, Australia? The land from down under. Appreciate you for stopping through. Canada in the building. I see you, Canada. Providence, what's going on? I don't know what's going on with the booster shots. I think they need to break down this nanobite technology that's in COVID. I think they need to explain to us what the nanobite technology is. Whatever it uses in COVID that sneaks past your defense systems, your body is actually going into a phase where it feels like it's got something inside of it that it's supposed to be fighting off, but it can't find what it's supposed to be fighting off. So it's starting to shut down. And these are the things that they're not addressing. These are some of the things that they're not saying, the effects of the vaccine. And that's why they slowed down the production of it. This is why they making it a choice now. Like, oh, you don't have to get it, but if you choose to get it. It's a lot of bullshit going on around this whole thing. And a lot of it is based off of population control. So, you know, we just got to pay attention. You know what I mean? We got to pay attention. Have our eyes open a little bit more.
More than 50% increase.
That's why this is important.
Money that is going to rural communities over the next 5 years. There's never been anything like that in history. It is the biggest investment, and it should stem this hemorrhage.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your giving clarity to that because
I don't know why you all caps in there. You could have said all of that without all caps in.
Allegations that the difficulties that our rural hospitals are facing all were created in the last few months when we passed a bill, when we've been holding hearings in this committee about these problems. And in the bill that we passed, we gave a $50 billion boost to, as you had.
Well, obviously, the vaccination has not always been a choice, because if you remember, at one point, everybody that was employed was damn near forced to take the vaccination. If your kids was going to school, they were forced to take the vaccination. So obviously, at one point, the vaccination was not a choice because they were taking jobs away and firing people from jobs that didn't get the vaccination. So don't sit here and try to be like, it's always been a choice. No, it has not. At one point, people were scared of losing their jobs if they didn't get this vaccination.
Increased by 50% the federal support for our community rural hospitals in the United States.
I like how y'all act like y'all don't remember 2001. Everybody act like they don't remember.
Recognize this support. In fact, they are coming they're coming together.
And there was mandatory tests
with Dr. Oz to work on the rollout of this program.
Right.
So
even the military. Come on.
Just another one of the disagreements
damn well
about what really was in the one big beautiful bill. So I appreciate you commenting on that. In the last minute and 10 seconds that I have with you, could you just quickly talk once again about the broad issue of making America healthy again in terms of our aim to change the healthcare system?
Now we're not making it great again, we're making it healthy again.
Management model to one that focuses on lifestyle choices and the root causes of chronic disease.
Yes,
See how they changed the goalposts?
This morning, I got
420. Everybody take a pool.
That
420 people in here.
4% of Americans now have a chronic disease.
If you're a smoker, you owe me a like. If you green friendly,
1950 was 3%.
put a 1 in the comment and hit the like button.
6.4%. 8 out of 10 of our kids cannot qualify.
You ain't lying. Puff, puff, pass.
This is a national security issue.
Once I'm off, I know that's right.
We spent 0 on chronic disease.
Once you off.
Today, we spend $1.3 trillion. It's the biggest cause. It's increasing. And all of the arguments that Republicans and Democrats have about single payer, Obamacare, or the various ways to allocate the health dollars, they're all like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. If we don't end this chronic disease, we are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you.
And I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I have to cut myself off to make sure I keep to this time frame too. Senator White.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I've made it clear, I think that Secretary Kennedy is dead set on making it harder for children to get vaccines and that kids are going to die because of it. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put into the record today an op-ed written by Susan Monarez, who was fired by Mr. Kennedy.
Without objection.
So what we know, and Dr. Monarez, was approved by Republicans. She wrote an op-ed today in the Wall Street Journal, which I've just put in the record, and I quote her. She said, "I was told to pre-approve the recommendations of a vaccine advisory panel newly filled with people who have publicly expressed anti-vaccine rhetoric." So, it's not some...
You know why Bill Gates sitting there. It was a technology. Everybody at that table had something to do with technology. Microsoft, Google, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg. It's social media and technology table.
Recommendations of a vaccine advisory panel filled with people who've publicly expressed anti-vaccine rhetoric. So, my first question, Mr. Secretary, is, did you in fact do what Director Monarez said you did, which is tell her to just go along with vaccine recommendations, even if she didn't think such recommendations aligned with scientific evidence?
No, I did not.
That's a yes or no. So you have an opportunity to call her a liar if you say that you didn't do it, but I'd like to see you respond to this.
No, I did not say that to her. And I never had a private meeting with her.
Y'all hit that like button. Let's get 100 likes. Double tap the screen.
Say, I never said that.
So she's lying today to the American people in the Wall Street Journal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk now about what's coming up, because I made it clear what I've thought about the 203, days with my colleagues.
Oh, am I begging for likes or just reminding people to like? Get your stupid ass out of here looking for somebody to argue with. That's what the fuck you supposed to ask them to do, you dumbass.
The committee's got a profound impact on
So
vaccine
dumbass
access,
up out of here.
But these aren't ordinary meetings. You stacked the deck to ensure the panel bends to your views. In June, you fired all 17 committee members who are respected scientists and
I don't need the likes.
You replaced them with
Freaking
vaccine skeptics.
YouTube need the likes.
As a result, this critical advisory panel has lost scientific credibility. After years, colleagues, we spend so much time not looking at this as Democrats and Republicans, but as good science and scientific credibility. And now the American Academy of Pediatrics has warned that the committee is being politicized at the expense of children's health. American Academy of Pediatrics, you think they're lying too?
I think the American Academy of Pediatrics is gravely conflicted. They're the biggest contributors of the 4 largest vaccine makers. They run a journal, Pediatrics, which they make a lot of money on, that is completely dependent on pharmaceutical companies. So I wouldn't put a big stake in what they say that benefits pharmaceutical interests. Senator, I didn't politicize ASAP, I depoliticized it. The Congress has been investigating ASAP.
All over the country, Mr. Secretary, scientists and doctors are saying otherwise. They're all wrong too. They're all lying, according to you.
The scientists and doctors are supporting me all over the country. There is division on opinion.
I don't get letters from thousands of people who are not political saying that this set of changes is going to damage American healthcare, and particularly these healthcare agencies for decades to come. I don't get any letters from
Well,
people
you
saying,
know,
hey, this is
maybe
gonna make
the
a big
people-
difference forever.
And maybe you're listening to a selective group of people.
You get me, so.
Yeah, and I will,
Fine.
I will tell you what, Senator, I will put my mailbag against your mailbag any day of the
I got
week.
30 seconds. Dangerous respiratory viruses like RSV are on the agenda for the next advisory meeting. Countless parents have been awakened in the dead of night by a wheezing kid gasping for air, forced to rush their little one to the ER. There's no worse heart-wrenching fear. The RSV vaccine offers these kids protection against the worst effects of the virus. But now it looks like you're on a crusade to make infants and babies more vulnerable to the terrible illness. That's what we're doing with the COVID changes.
And please make your answer brief, Mr. Secretary.
I've said
The
that
position is indefensible, I think. It's possible.
Congress has been investigating that committee for 23 years because it is pervaded with conflicts of interest. What we did is we got rid of the conflicts of interest. We depoliticized it and put great scientists on it from a very diverse group.
Let me close
very pro
Let
vaccine.
me close with this because, like Senator Crapo, I'm a few seconds over. I don't think, Mr. Secretary, this is about you and me. This is about kids being pushed in harm's way by reckless and repeated decisions to get scientists and doctors out of the way and allow conspiracy theories to dictate this country's health policy. I don't see any evidence that you have any regrets about anything you've done or plans to change it. And my last comment is, I hope that you will tell the American people how many preventable child deaths are an acceptable sacrifice for enacting an agenda that I think is fundamentally cruel and defies common sense. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do I get a reply? Or Senator, you've sat in that chair for how long? 20, 25 years, while the chronic disease in our children went up to 76%. And you said nothing. You never asked the question why it's happening. Why is this happening? Today, for the first time in 20 years, we learned that infant mortality has increased in our country. It's not because I came in here. It's because of what happened during the Biden administration that we're going to end.
I'm going to let Senator Wyden respond briefly to that, and then we're not going to go over like we just did.
Defend this committee on a bipartisan basis. Colleagues, my cabinet secretary says that we have no interest in chronic care. Mr. Secretary,
Mr. Chairman, could we have regular order,
we are
please?
in the process of turning around the Medicare program with the chronic care bill that Chairman Hatch, when he was chairman in this committee, put together on a bipartisan basis.
All right, we're going to proceed, and I just want the rest of the members to know, I gave Senator Wyden as ranking member some leeway there, but we're going to stick to the 5 minutes. Senator Grassley.
First of all, thank you. I have asked HH secretaries in the past to fully utilize the Rural Community Hospital Demonstration Program under Medicare. The program has been underutilized. In May, the CMS filled the open slots. Thanks to your agency's work, there's been 10 more rural hospitals in the program. It's important that the federal government uses every tool possible to help rural hospitals, and thank you for making that possible. Now to my questions. Back in January, during your confirmation hearing, you told me that you agreed to leave farming regulations to the Department of Agriculture and EPA. Do you think that any comments you have made since your confirmation on topics dealing with agriculture are consistent with what you said in January, that USDA and EPA ought to be regulating farming, and that the Department of Health and Human Services should not seek to regulate farms, the tools they use, or the markets that they sell into?
Yes, Senator, we are working very, very closely with Brooke Rollins and with the agricultural community. We've met with over 140 farm interests over the past 3 months to incorporate them to make sure that the MAHA agenda is consistent with their agenda. We are producing the best food in America, that we're protecting our soils and our soil microbiome, and that we're protecting all kinds of farmers, including those who want to transition to regenerative agriculture. We're consulting every stakeholder in the farm community in everything that we do.
I just raised the question because farmers in my state have been concerned about some of the things you're saying.
Senator, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Some of the farmers in my state have been raising questions about some of the things that they think you said, whether it was out of context or not. I just thought I'd raise this question so that you would keep by what you told us back in January at your confirmation hearing. Now, Senator Durbin and I have a bipartisan bill that requires price disclosures on TV ads. Price transparency is important in drug advertisement. I know that President Trump, Vice President Vance, and you are all supportive of this effort. When can I expect action from this administration on requiring drug companies to publish the price of drugs in their TV ads? And just in case you would tell me that you don't think you have that authority, can you help Senator Durbin and I on our bill so that we can ensure that you have legal authority to require price disclosure?
Senator, I think it would be good for us to talk about this offline. We are working on this in our agency, and I'm happy to give you the details of what we're doing.
Okay. I've got a question here on transplant. Senator Kennedy and I have been working it, or Senator Wyden and I have been working on this. For nearly 2 decades, I've engaged in a bipartisan oversight of the organ transplant system. RESA has developed
Organ
a tool
transplant
to combat
system.
Transplant
Let's talk
line
about
skipping.
Organ transplant system, transplant line slipping.
Steps to make sure that these steps are being taken by HHS.
That's why our
and
kids is
RISA
coming up missing, because y'all got this fucking transplant
line
system.
skipping. On July the 2nd, Senator Wyden and I wrote you a letter highlighting cases of OPOs in Mississippi and Kentucky. In each of these cases, OPO allegedly tried to harvest organs from patients still showing signs of life. I expect you to take steps from through these organizations to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
We have mounted a major investigation of misconduct, of illegal behavior, of organ harvesting, of living people, of line skipping, of favoritism, of all kinds of scandalous behavior inside the organ procurement organizations. We have already ended the contract, terminated the contract with the sole source provider. We are reorganizing the entire industry so that this can never happen again. I'm happy to go into the details with you if I had more time.
Thank you, Senator Cornyn.
Mr. Secretary, the United States spends approximately 18% of our GDP on healthcare. And yet, by most accounts, we rank roughly 10th in the world in terms of a healthcare outcome. Our Democratic colleagues seem to think the more money you spend, you're necessarily going to improve those outcomes. But at the same time, we have the two major drivers of our national debt, Social Security and Medicare, while we spend more money on interest on the national debt than we do on defense of the nation, which is an unsustainable trajectory. What is it that you're doing to address the effectiveness and the outcomes of our healthcare expenditures as opposed to just throwing more money at the problem?
Yeah, I mean, throwing money at the problem does not work. We spend 2 to 3 times per capita what European nation spend on healthcare, and we have the worst health outcomes. We're 79th in health outcomes globally. Over the past 20 years, we've lost, or 30 years, we've lost 6 years to Europe in terms of longevity. So our lifespan was even with Europe's now at 6 years behind. As I remarked to Chairman Wyden this morning, or Minority Leader Biden, today we got new data that showed that infant mortality has increased in this country in 2024. The first time in 20 years. Diabetes has gone up 98% in 20 years. Nobody's doing anything about it. CDC's job was to make sure that this didn't happen. And what we're going to do is reorganize CDC, but also we've already righted the ship at NIH, at FDA, at CMS. And we are going to end the chronic disease epidemic. We are devoting thousands of studies. We're going to devote to identifying the causes, and we're eliminating them. And we're already starting. We're not waiting for everything to come in. We are starting now. We're doing this with food dyes, with GRAS standards, with dietary guidelines. We're going to get better food and better health to the American public because it's chronic disease that is bankrupting us and destroying our national security.
Seems to be one of the biggest problems that we have in America today is the trustworthiness of the information that we actually receive from the news media and from any other source. And obviously the easiest thing for our Democratic colleagues to do is to scare people because that is a powerful emotion, no matter what the facts may be. Do you believe COVID-19 was politicized?
Yeah, the whole process was politicized. Senator, I mean, we were lied to about everything. We were lied to about natural immunity. We were lied to about, we were told again and again the vaccines would prevent transmission, they prevent infection. It wasn't true. They knew it from the start it wasn't true because that's what the animal studies and the clinical trials showed. We were told that there was science behind cloth masks. The CDC allowed the teachers union to write the order closing our schools, which hurt working people all over the country, and then pretend it was science-based. All of these issues, and then I can show you, like, for example, Chairman Wyden was talking about me politicizing ACIP. During COVID, probably the most famous scientist on ACIP was Martin Kulldorff from Harvard, the great, world-renowned epidemiologist and vaccinologist. And he criticized the COVID booster mandates. They ejected him from COVID because he wasn't in the orthodoxy. The two biggest health officials at FDA during COVID, Dr. Gruber and Dr. Krause, criticized the Biden mandates, vaccine mandates. President Biden said in August, I would never take that vaccine, the Trump vaccine. And he came in, he mandated it, and then he fired the two top health officials at FDA who said, hey, this thing has not been properly tested. So the whole process was politicized, even today.
So I'm 15 seconds. So I think you answered yes. It was politicized. And I have concerns that when you look at some of the conflicts of interest in peer-reviewed articles in professional journals, and when you point out that even some of the physician associations are conflicted because of the money they get from the pharmaceutical industry, are you committed to trying to make sure that we use the best science and separate and eliminate politics as much as possible?
That is what my job is. That's what my mission is. Eliminate the politics from science.
Senator Bennett.
Mr. Secretary, in June, you fired every member. Mr. Secretary, may I have my time back, Mr. Chairman? Thank you. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your attention. In June, you fired every member of the well-qualified panel that was charged with recommending vaccines to the CDC. No one in your job has ever fired every committee member all at once. that month, you told the American people that you were, quote, going to bring great people onto the ACIP panel, not anti-vaxxers. Are you aware that one of the people you put on the panel, Dr. Robert Malone, claimed that the commonly used mRNA vaccine, quote, causes a form of AIDS and can damage children's, quote, brains, their heart, their immune system, and their ability to have children in the future? Yes or no, Mr. Kennedy?
And Dr. Malone is one of the inventors
Yes or no? Yes or no? Were you aware that he had that view when you appointed him to this panel?
Dr. Malone is one of the inventors. As I said, Dr. Malone is one of the inventors of the mRNA
That's fine. That's
vaccine,
not
so he
an
knows a
answer,
lot more
That
about it
statement,
than I do.
Mr. Chairman, that statement is not true that Dr. Malone made, just as it wasn't true when you wrote that, quote, African AIDS is entirely different from Western AIDS. Are you aware that another one of these new members, Dr. Levy, wrote that, quote, evidence is mounting and indisputable that mRNA vaccines cause serious harm, including death, especially among young people? Yes or no? Are you aware that he said that?
I wasn't aware he said it, but I think I agree with it.
You agree with it? It's not true. It wasn't true when he said it. It is not true when you said it. Secretary Kennedy, later this month, your new panel will meet to consider changing vaccine recommendations for American children. In addition to the COVID-19 vaccines, they are set to review recommendations for the hepatitis B vaccine, for measles, for mumps, for rubella and varicella vaccine, and the RSV vaccine. These are common back-to-school vaccinations for children all over the industrialized world. If you change that, you owe parents in Colorado and across the country the benefit of some transparency, I think. If your panel recommends changing the vaccine schedule for children, do you anticipate that fewer children will receive these common vaccinations, yes or no?
What I would say, Senator,
The obvious answer is yes. Should parents and schools of Colorado be prepared for more measles outbreaks as a result of that, Mr. Secretary?
Senator,
How about more mumps outbreaks?
I do not anticipate a change in the MMR vaccine. ACIP is an independent panel, so.
Well, it's a panel you just put those folks on. Far from what you said, there are people with ideas that are completely outside the mainstream.
I mean, out of the pharmaceutical paradigm.
Let me just say, Mr. Secretary, all these vaccines that we're talking about today are free and accessible to parents today in America who have the freedom to be able to make that choice for their children. Will that be true after your handpicked panel makes their judgments about these vaccines?
I think that parents should be free to.
I know you said that before, I do too.
To make their own choices.
So will they be just as free after these?
I assume they will be.
I will hold you to that, Secretary Kennedy, because this is not a podcast. It is the American people's health that's on the line here. This is the last thing, by the way, our parents need when their kids are going back to school, is to have the kind of confusion and expense and scarcity that you're creating as a result of your ideology. I think it's critical for you to share the evidence that this panel will rely on. Will you give the American people 6 months or 6 weeks in advance the record that they're going to rely on to make these decisions? Will you make it transparent for the American people?
All the evidence is transparent.
Will you make it in advance transparent for the American people so they can comment on it?
All the evidence is transparent for the first time in history, and you were never there complaining when the pharmaceutical companies were picking those people and then running their products through with no safety testing.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate. What you said were lies. You
Are you
described
saying,
people
Senator,
moving the Titanic.
Are you saying that the mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis?
I am simply.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire.
You're evading the question.
No, I'm asking the questions here.
You're evading that question.
I'm asking the questions.
I asked you a question.
I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America who deserve so much better than your leadership. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, they deserve the truth, and that's what we're going to give them for the first time in the history of that agency.
Senator Cassidy.
Thank you. I'll try.
They be getting so emotional.
And
I'm asking the
doctor,
question.
Not as a senator. I am concerned about children's health, seniors' health, all of our health. And I applaud you for joining the president in a call for radical transparency. Thank you for that. I said yesterday, I believe it, that President Trump deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed. If he had been President Obama, he would have gotten it. But because of Operation Warp Speed, forcing the federal government to come to a vaccine development within 10 months when others said it couldn't be done, we saved millions of lives globally, trillions of dollars, we reopened economies, an incredible accomplishment. Mr. Secretary, do you agree with me that the president deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator. That's phenomenal.
Let me ask you, but you just told Senator Bennett that the COVID vaccine killed more people than COVID.
Wait,
That was a statement.
I did not say that.
Okay, then let me ask, because you also were.
Senator, I just want to make clear, I did not say that.
We'll check the record, that's a question of fact. You also said that you were also, as lead attorney for the Children's Health Defense, you engaged in multiple.
You know they put him in trouble with
attempting to
Trump.
restrict access
You know
to
Trump
the
was
COVID
like,
vaccine.
oh, you said all of
It
that?
surprises me that
Oh
you think
yeah,
so
hold
highly
off
of
on
Warp
everything that
Speed.
we agreed with
And as an
him.
attorney, you attempted to restrict access. Now, let me ask.
I'm happy to explain why.
I have 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. It also surprises me because you've canceled, or HHS did, but apparently under your direction, $500 million in contracts using the mRNA vaccine platform that was critical to Operation Warp Speed. Again, an accomplishment that I think President Trump should get a Nobel Prize for. You canceled $500 million in contracts. Now, I grew up in a middle-class family.
Fun
so
times in the
$500
Kennedy
seems
house.
Just canceled. It seems like an incredible waste of money. But it also seems like a commentary upon what the president was attempting, what the president did in Operation Warp Speed, which is to create a platform by which to create vaccines. So this just seems inconsistent that you would agree with me the president deserves a tremendous amount of credit for this.
Is this a question, Senator Cassidy, or is this a speech that you don't want me to
No, I'm
answer?
asking
Because
a
I
question.
want to answer that question.
Please,
If it's a question.
But be tight, please.
First of all, the reason that Operation Warp Speed was genius is it did something nobody had ever been done. I don't think any president but President Trump could do it. It got the vaccine to market that was perfectly matched to the virus at that time when it was badly needed, because there was low natural immunity and there were people getting very badly injured by COVID. And then, but it was also brought in therapeutics like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and protocols for treatments, and there were no mandates. And then,
Okay, I have another question, so please.
That's when I began litigating against President Biden's mandates. Now,
I'm sorry, let me go on because.
in terms of me canceling those contracts,
I have limited time, Mr. Secretary, I'm sorry. You've called for, and rightly so, that we should restrict participation in agencies for those with conflict of interest. I would like to submit for the record a evaluation of the conflict of interest of those who are on the ACIP and the Vaccines and Related Biologic Products Advisory Board.
It's for
It was
the
not
love of
97% as
money.
alleged, rather it was 6.9%, and it was 1.2%, I think, for the other panel.
Without objection.
Now, I am concerned, though, because many of those whom you have nominated for the ACIP board. Excuse me, can I have my time back?
Yes.
Yeah. What I am concerned about is that many of those whom you've nominated for ASIP have received revenue as serving as expert witnesses for plaintiffs' attorneys suing vaccine makers. Now, one of my colleagues in another setting alleged that you seem more interested in settlements than science.
Can I get my time back?
People who are paid witnesses for people suing vaccines, that actually seems like a conflict of interest. Real quickly, do you agree with that?
No, I don't. It may be a bias, and that bias, if disclosed, is okay. But it's not a financial. It's not a financial conflict of interest. It's not a financial conflict of interest.
Let me finish up. You also told Senator Wyden at the outset that you didn't want to take vaccines away from people. And as I conclude, I would like to say this. Because of the conflicting recommendations made about COVID, this is from Eric Erickson, good conservative out of Atlanta, Georgia, occasionally gives me help. My wife has stage 4 lung cancer. She is one of the people the COVID vaccine actually helps. Thanks to the current mess at HHS, CVS is unable to get her vaccine. Secondly, an email from a physician friend of mine. Hey, Bill, I'm not even sure what I'm asking, but we're all confused and concerned about who can get the COVID vaccine. We are having our attorney try and render an opinion, but there's no firm guidance and concern about liability if vaccines are given to a patient who requests it, but not on the current CDC list. Pharmacists are requiring a prescription now even for patients over 65, creating a huge headache. I submit these for the record.
Without objection.
I would say effectively we're denying people vaccine.
Senator Cantwell.
You're wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Following up on that same line as Senator Cassidy, because that's exactly, I represent one of the most science-based states in the country. That is percentage of scientists per capita. And at your confirmation hearing, we asked about this, whether you would follow science. You've made a statement here today in your testimony that you would follow science, and yet you're not following science, and that's what Senator Cassidy's question was. It's a simple yes or no answer. Do you think the president deserves to get a prize for warp speed in the mRNA technology that saved so many lives? And you won't answer that question.
I answered it.
No, you're saying that there are problems with what was interpreted. You could say yes. You should say
I said the
yes.
president deserves a Nobel Prize, but our mRNA vaccines that we're working on, the ones that we canceled, which are for upper respiratory infections alone,
You
are those.
canceled $500 million of research because the mRNA technology is about continuing the research to be ready for the next flu, influenza, the next pandemic, and you have to do.
I'm happy to have a detailed discussion with you about it. You're so wrong on your facts.
You're interrupting me, and sir, you're a charlatan. That's what you are. You're the ones who conflate chronic disease with the need for vaccines. The history on vaccines is very clear. This is the 20th century. That's how many people had vaccines and had illnesses. This is the 21st century. This is the decrease, 99% down to 100%. This is what was delivered with vaccines. And you don't want to support that. You don't want to support that evidence. So yes, the governors of the West, Washington, Oregon, and California, will take up the efficacy of science. Yes, the University of Washington will deliver the science that America will depend on, because you don't want to depend on it. And his own Surgeon General of the Trump administration said over 2 million lives were saved because of the mRNA technology, and you don't want to continue that. You don't want to continue that technology. So what country is going to now take up that technology lead? What country is going to do that? Leaving us more vulnerable to some other country, keeping the advantage on having the best technology. So I'm telling you, I represent a state that's about technology. I have 2 other quick questions for you.
You know they lining up. You know they gotta line up another pandemic.
It's actually a question.
Do you believe in having the ACA and the support for the ACA that is about to expire? Do you believe in doing something about that?
In terms of the events of the enhanced premium tax credits,
Yes.
the Democrats had two chances to make them permanent, and they didn't. And they didn't
We're
for
the
a
ones,
reason.
we're the ones who delivered it, so I'm just
They
asking
didn't
yes
for a
or no,
reason.
do you want to do something about this? Yes,
I want to fix the system, and that's what we're doing, fixing systematically to make premiums lower. That's what President Trump
do you
wants
think
to do.
do you think the women on the steps of the Capitol were a hoax yesterday?
I don't know about any women on the steps of the Capitol.
The women who were talking about Epstein, do you think they were a hoax yesterday?
Do I think they were
Do you think they were perpetrating a hoax yesterday?
perpetuating a hoax?
Yeah.
I have no idea what they were saying. This is the first time hearing about it.
You're hearing about the women on the Capitol steps saying that they believe that the Epstein information should be made public? That's the first you're hearing about it? What I'm saying is you are perpetrating hoaxes. You, as this Secretary of Health, so you're undermining the whole healthcare delivery system, and you keep trying to point to chronic disease, but you're not putting solutions on the table to cover more Americans, and you're taking away the science and technology that has made us the leader, that has saved, according to the first Trump administration Surgeon General, millions of lives, and you don't want to keep that going. So no, I don't support your continued efforts as Secretary, and I definitely think that our colleagues need to rally around science. If you want the Northwest to continue to lead on all innovation and all healthy people, okay, we'll do that. But it's a sad statement for the rest of America and America's leadership on technology. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Warner.
Mr. Secretary, I agree with a lot of my colleagues' statement. I actually hoped I didn't support you. I thought taking on chronic illnesses was going to be important. I've got 2 kids, as we discussed when you met, that have chronic illnesses. I'm not sure that the focus on red dye and seed oils are going to fully solve that problem.
Of course they won't.
I would say this, that seems where your emphasis is. I want to go back to just, again, some basic facts. Do you accept the fact that 1 million Americans died from COVID?
I don't know how many died.
You're the Secretary of Health and Human Services. You don't have any idea how many Americans died from COVID?
I don't think anybody knows that because there was so much data chaos coming out of the CDC, and there was so many perverse incentives. And these are model
You don't know the answer of how many Americans died from COVID. This is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Do you think the vaccine did anything to prevent additional deaths?
Again, I would like to see the data and talk about the data.
You have had this job for 8 months, and you don't know the data about whether the vaccine saved
And that's
lives?
the problem, is that they didn't have the data. The data by the Biden administration absolutely dismal.
So who was politicizing? You're saying the Biden administration politicized all the data? Go back to what Campbell just
They
said.
fired Dr.
Go to
Gross.
Trump Surgeon General.
They fired Dr. Grunt. They fired all the people who questioned the orthodoxy. They fired Dr. Gruber, Dr. Kaus.
Chairman, the Secretary of Health and Human Services doesn't know how many Americans died from COVID. Doesn't know if the vaccine helped prevent any deaths. And you are sitting as Secretary of Health and Human Services? How can you be that ignorant? Like, I remember when we went through the hearing with you, I asked you about community health centers. You didn't know what role they play. I've been visiting community health. I'm glad you got to one. I think in April. I tell you what I hear on community health centers, they are terrified. With all due respect to my good friend, the chairman, of the big awful bill. Because they are going to lose health care across the board. They already live in food deserts. They can't get to a nutritionist because Medicaid doesn't do enough reimbursement. If you're gonna want Americans to get healthier, should they have access to nutritionists? Should they have access to good science about healthy food?
Absolutely.
Well then, how is that gonna happen with the Medicaid cuts that are taking place?
There are no cuts to Medicaid.
Sir, that is an absurd, there is not a single, some of my Republican colleagues, but there is not a single study that does not, I can tell you, I was in Franklin, Virginia, a couple days ago. The rural hospital is going to close. The hospital system was so afraid they wouldn't even let me have the meeting there. But that rural hospital is going to close. And they are looking for where those folks are going to go. I mean, you're supposed to be doing health care policy, not being the doctor in residence for all of America. I hope I can just say, I'm still gonna trust my doctor rather than your health advice. And obviously, Tom Cotton's gonna, who knows who he's gonna trust. But let me go back to policy, because so maybe we'll lower the temperature a little bit. I got a bipartisan bill that would be a systemic fix, not a vote buying mechanism when Medicaid's getting cut, to what was put in on the rural hospitals. One of the things we could do, Mr. Secretary, is make sure that the folks who work in rural hospitals get an 80% reimbursement of what folks get in more urban centers. Would you support that legislation?
Are you talking about the area wage index?
I'm talking about the area wage index and moving that up to 80%, so there is actually ability to get rural providers.
President Trump supports that, and we support.
Do you support? You support. Good. So you will work with us to get that passed.
Yes.
That will increase costs on both Medicaid and Medicare. So you are committed to that. I appreciate that. What about Senator Wyden and I've got a bill, because across America,
What about what?
hospitals are shutting down on their OBGYN services. Try to have a baby. I don't know about all of my other friend states, but in Southside Virginia, you can't find a hospital. Will you work with us to make sure that before OBGYN services are taken out of a rural hospital, there has to be a process and procedure?
I'm happy to work with you on that, Senator, meet with you and see if we can work with you on it. I don't know exactly what the issue is.
Well, again, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, who has said he doesn't know how many people died from COVID, doesn't know if the vaccine saved lives, doesn't understand the issue of OBGYN doctors are fleeing rural America because they can't afford it. And with the cuts that are coming up, it's going to be exponentially worse. I would invite you, sir, to come with me to a community health center in Virginia and hear what is on people's mind. They want to get healthier? Absolutely. Count me in. But they also don't want their basic health care removed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Langford.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Secretary, good to see you again. As I traveled around Oklahoma during August, it was great to be able to be home. I had several folks that contacted me. That we had some great meetings with some rural hospitals as well. They're looking forward to the $50 billion for the One Big Beautiful Bill that is targeting towards rural hospitals, starting at $10 billion next year. I know you're quickly getting all the instructions out on that. We know that's in process. It was good to be able to visit with them and be able to talk about that. They're very pleased. Thanks for the work you're doing on that. I also met with some of our groups that do incredible medical research on this. I know the NIH grants were held for a while and being studied. Those have been released, and grateful to be able to see that, because there's some amazing medical research that's happening, including some longitudinal studies. They need those dollars released, so I appreciate y'all getting those released out there. I did hear from a lot of our folks, and I want to talk about one of these issues. From a lot of our hospitals, they immediately raised the issue of Medicare Advantage plans and how they're withholding payments, they're delaying payments back to hospitals, and a problem that that's been for rural hospitals. I know y'all are working on that as well. We want to work with you on that. But you and I have spoken on the second issue on that, and it's the pharmacy benefit managers. During the confirmation process, it was interesting when you and I met in my office, you said every single senator brought up PBMs to you, and you made the statement during the confirmation process, this is an area that President Trump wants to take on, is the pharmacy benefit managers. This is unfinished business in this committee, but I wanted to just know, what is HHS doing at this point on the PBM issue in particular to make sure we're not driving out rural pharmacies, and what we can do to be able to make sure that's fair?
I mean, it's a priority for the president. He talks to me about it, I would say at least once a week, sometimes at 11 o'clock at night. And we've met with the PBMs, and we are in talks with them. We're also in MFN talks with the pharmaceutical companies, who are also very interested in reducing the cut and getting transparency among the PBMs. And the PBMs have committed to us to transparency, to some protocol that will guarantee transparency. And then the part of the MFN negotiations would include direct-to-consumer marketing, which would eliminate the middleman. So I think we're doing a lot on PBMs.
Okay, that'd be very helpful to be able to see. It'd be very helpful for consumers across the country on this. You and I spoke as well, and you've made public statements on this, and the FDA commissioners made public statements on the issue of reviewing the safety issues of mifepristone. Your comments early on were every drug needs to be treated the same, needs to look at it the same, and not have political biases and how things are actually examined. There were a lot of changes on the allocation of mifepristone for elective abortions under the Biden administration. It's now open to anyone without a prescription on it. You don't have to go through a doctor on it. There's all kinds of issues that are happening now on it. So the question was, you said that there would be a review on that just to be able to look at it, make sure we're following all safety protocols. Do you know a timing on that review?
I can't give you the exact timing. I talked to Marty McCary about it yesterday, and he said it is progressing at pace. We're getting data in all the time, new data that we're reviewing, and we know that during the Biden administration, they actually twisted the data to bury one of the safety signals with a very high safety signal, around 11%. So we're going to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore. We're producing honest science and gold standard science on that. I'll keep you abreast of where we are.
Thank you. Just go where the science leads on that. During the Biden administration, the Title X regulation that requires Title X family planning programs recipients to physically and financially separate from abortion activities, their Title X activities, and eliminate them promoting or providing abortion with those funds. That was flipped from the original Trump rule that was done on the first presidency. During your confirmation, you had committed to go back and look at that again and to be able to see. My question is, do you know the timeline for agency action for when that rule on Title X and the separation payments rule will be either reviewed or will actually be reinstated to the original Trump rule under his first presidency?
I don't know if they're I just don't know the answer to your question when they're actually reviewing the rule right now. I can tell you that the NGOs that have that issue, that refuse to separate their payments streams and separate their operations, are not getting funded.
Okay, well, that was an issue under the law when it first came out, to be able to keep those things separate on it. So look forward to that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Hassan.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, Secretary Kennedy. Just before I ask a question, I did want to note, in response to the Secretary's statement that the Trump administration wants to lower the cost of health insurance, that across the country right now, the median increase for commercial insurers that we're seeing this fall is 18%, just as families are struggling to make ends meet. Now, I want to follow up on a line of questioning that Senator Cassidy began. Mr. Secretary, President Trump said that the COVID-19 vaccine produced by Operation Warp Speed was, and these are the president's words, a monumental national achievement. Although I have strongly opposed many of President Trump's actions, I agree with him that Operation Warp Speed in 2020 was a monumental achievement. Unfortunately, you are undermining one of the president's biggest achievements, which, as the president said, saved millions of American lives. You even went as far as to call President Trump weak for this life-saving accomplishment. Last year, you tweeted that President Trump has a weakness for swamp creatures, and that Operation Warp Speed was among, here's your quote again, the most devastating impact of President Trump's weakness. So, Mr. Secretary, was Operation Warp Speed a monumental national achievement, as President Trump said?
For the reason that I already said, I assume you won't let me repeat, but I'm happy to if you want. Yes, it was.
Good. Assuming it is a monumental achievement, you've said it was, is it true that, as President Trump has said, he saved millions of American lives with the COVID-19 vaccine? Because you've just expressed great confusion about that to Senator Warner.
The only confusion I expressed is exactly how many lives were saved. I don't think anybody knows that because the data came out.
So multiple studies have shown that the vaccine reduced infections and severe diseases and saved at least 3 million lives in the United States. and millions more abroad in the first 2 years of the pandemic.
It's possible those are modeling studies.
I will also note, just as you've been talking about data and concern about it, the process for COVID vaccine approval was public, it was live streamed, and it was out in the open. Manufacturers and experts have publicly submitted data analysis, and when the FDA has asked for more, they've submitted more. They've done that for years, and the evidence is clear and supports what President Trump has said. The vaccine works, and it has saved millions of lives. Your own process, on the other hand, has not been transparent. You repeatedly choose to ignore data because it doesn't match your preconceived notions and lies. So you have said that the vaccine did save lives. You've said it was a monumental achievement. And given that, if you agree with President Trump that the vaccine saved millions of lives, why have you acted behind closed doors to overrule scientists and limit the freedom of parents to choose the COVID vaccine for their children? Why have you done that?
For the COVID vaccine, I was removed by FDA because there was the industry.
No, it was behind closed doors.
No, that's not public.
And scientists who said they wanted to brief you on the science, scientists who wanted to understand why the FDA, why you unilaterally changed the parameters for giving vaccines, making it possible now, to Senator Cassidy's colleagues' points, that they're going to have to go off-label.
This is crazy talk. You're just making stuff up.
To prescribe a vaccine for children. I'm not making things up. Do you know how the FDA approval process works and what an off-label?
Don't forget to subscribe.
I know exactly how it works. I know exactly how it works.
So why behind closed doors?
It's not behind closed doors. The industry makes the studies, and they could not provide a study that said that it is effective for healthy kids.
So when have you produced the data that you relied on and that this FDA relied on to change those parameters? You did it behind closed doors. Now parents who decide that they do want their children to have
You're just making stuff up, Senator.
I'm not
You're just making stuff up.
You know, sometimes when you make an accusation, it's kind of a confession, Mr. Kennedy. So let's start with this. So here's what's going to happen. To Senator Warner's point, to the parents who are concerned all around the country, to people who want to get the COVID vaccine this fall, even if they're under 65, because the boosters have worked, there's been much less serious disease, people do not have the same level of threat and risk from COVID that they used to because of these vaccines. People who want to exercise their freedom of choice are being denied that because you are citing data that you won't produce to the public.
You're just
and you
making
are objecting.
You're making things up to scare people, and it's a lie.
With respect, I do not think I'm the one making things
You
up.
are lying right now, Senator.
Senator Barrasso.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being with us today. I believe one of President Trump's greatest achievements was his bold and successful actions on COVID. When faced with a global pandemic, he didn't back down. He was determined to find a cure, and through Operation Warp Speed, a vaccine was developed that distributed quickly, safely, effectively, and I believe it saved many, many lives. I think it's a model of American ingenuity and public-private partnership. But this wasn't the first time an American president acted boldly to address disease and vaccines. There's a great book that's out, it's a prize-winning book called The Fate of the Day by Rick Atkinson, and he talks about the courageous efforts by George Washington. During the Revolutionary War, George Washington reversed his opposition to the smallpox vaccine, and he ordered that all the soldiers be vaccinated. It was among the most consequential decisions Washington would ever make. By protecting his troops from smallpox, Washington preserved the Continental Army, which allowed our nation to continue to fight for our independence. And like President Trump, I believe President Washington acted decisively to protect Americans' lives at a time of great national peril. So over the last 50 years, vaccines are estimated to have saved 154 million lives worldwide. I support vaccines. I'm a doctor. Vaccines work. Secretary Kennedy, in your confirmation hearings, you promised to uphold the highest standards for vaccines. Since then, I've grown deeply concerned. The public has seen measles outbreaks, leadership at the National Institute of Health questioning the use of mRNA vaccines, The recently confirmed director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention fired. Americans don't know who to rely on. You know, recent polls said 89% of voters, 81% of Trump voters agree vaccine recommendations should come from trained physicians, scientists, public health experts. So, you know, they believe, you know, Senator Marshall, Senator Cassidy, they believe me when it comes to vaccines. If we're going to make America healthy again, we can't allow public health to be undermined. So could you explain what steps you're going to be taking to ensure vaccine guidance is clear, evidence-based, and trustworthy?
And we're gonna make it clear, evidence-based, and trustworthy
We ain't
for
gonna
the
do
first
shit.
time in history. For most, right now, you know, when I was a kid, I got 3 vaccines, I was fully compliant. Today's children have to get between 69 and 92 vaccines in order to be fully compliant, between maternity and 18 years. Only one of those 19 vaccines, 92 doses, only one of those vaccines that have been tested against an inert placebo. And what we're doing now is any new vaccine that before it's approved and licensed will have to demonstrate safety against an inert placebo. And we're gonna go back and do observational studies on the existing vaccines to see if they're linked to any of these chronic disease epidemics so that people can understand the risk profile of those products and make good assessments for their own health.
So in 2 weeks, vaccine experts at the CDC are going to meet to discuss childhood vaccine recommendations. Parents and physicians depend upon this guidance to make decisions and to keep kids safe. And as I said, I support vaccines. I've been hearing from many of my medical colleagues, people I've known from medical school, residency, and when I practiced medicine in Wyoming, and there are real concerns that safe, proven vaccines like measles, like hepatitis B, and others could be in jeopardy. And that would put Americans at risk and reverse decades of progress. As we've seen over the last 4 years, the previous administration 4 years, when recommendations became politicized or were swayed by bias, that the public trust can be lost. So what safeguards are in place to ensure decisions are based solely on science and not politics? And how are you going to make sure doctors and parents can count on CDC guidance?
I mean, Senator, I would point this out. And right now, there's only 10% of children are complying with the CDC's recommendation on COVID boosters. Only 15% of healthcare workers. So Americans have lost faith in CDC, and we need to restore that faith. And we're going to do that by telling the truth and not through propaganda. I'm making them understand that everything that we say is true. That we're going to tell them what we know, we're going to tell them what we don't know, and we're going to tell them what we're researching and how we're doing it, and we're going to be transparent. It's the only way to restore trust in the agency, by making it trustworthy.
Thank you. Finally, with chronic diseases like you, I'm committed to addressing our nation's growing rate of chronic diseases. I think if we're going to make America healthy again, we need to support rural primary care providers that play a role as a rural physician. I want to make sure we can prevent and manage chronic diseases in their communities, and I ask for you to continue to work with us specifically with regard to rural health.
Thank you, Congressman.
Senator Daines. Chairman Cripple, thank you. Secretary Kennedy, welcome. It's good to see you here again. I want to begin my time by talking about the issue of federal deregulation of chemical abortion drugs. Since mifepristone was approved in 2000, 25 years ago, the FDA has steadily stripped away safeguards related to this drug, no longer requiring a doctor's prescription, no follow-up visits, no adverse event reporting, and now allowing it to be sent through the mail. Earlier this year, there was a new study that analyzed 865,000 real-world insurance claims, and it found that nearly 11% of women experienced a serious adverse event within 45 days of taking mifepristone. To put that in perspective, that is 22 times higher than the FDA's long-standing estimate of less than 0.5%. While these findings alone are shocking, my conversations with those in the medical profession, credible medical professionals, lead me to believe that even this study may indeed underrepresent the scale of the problem. For years, we've heard the misleading and frankly very harmful lie that's being sold to women that this drug is, and I quote, safe as Tylenol. These lies sadly have real-world consequences. Just last year, 2 women died as a result of taking chemical abortion pills because they were able to access them without appropriate medical oversight. And by the way, that's all allowed by the FDA. Mr. Secretary, I am grateful that you and FDA Commissioner McCary have already begun the process of reviewing this new data on the safety of mifepristone. We talked about this during your confirmation hearing. My question is, could you provide any updates on the status and the scope of that review and whether the FDA intends to replicate studies like the one that I referenced?
I think those are, I don't know if they're going to do an insurance claim study. That's one way to do it. I don't know exactly whether they're doing epidemiological studies or observational studies. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I know I told Marty
Don't know
about it yesterday.
what's going on.
And he said those studies
But I know what's
are
going on.
progressing and that they're ongoing. So I will keep your office informed at every stage.
Thank you. And I had a really constructive conversation with the FDA Commissioner as well, McCary. And I mean, here's a very smart, data-focused, sincere type of leader. And we had a really good conversation. I want to encourage those conversations with you, Mr. Secretary, and that we there's a follow-up here to make sure that the data that we now have exposed will be studied by the FDA and the appropriate actions considered. Given the legitimate safety concerns surrounding mifepristone and your actions to roll back other COVID emergency measures, will you repeal the COVID-era telemedicine allowance, given that we're repealing these COVID-era regulations and emergency measures? Would you repeal the COVID-era telemedicine allowance for chemical abortion drugs and restore the requirement for an in-person doctor visit?
Senator, I need to get back to you on that. I don't know if the White House has yet taken a position on that, but we will get back to you this week about that.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I want to close with a quick Montana question. Earlier this week, the state of Montana submitted a Medicaid demonstration waiver application to CMS to strengthen the state's Medicaid expansion program. This waiver seeks to require community engagement and enhance cost sharing for working-age, able-bodied adults enrolled in the program. I applaud our governor, Gianforte, and Director Brereton for their proactive leadership in this space. My question is, Mr. Secretary, could you commit that CMS will work quickly in its consideration of Montana's waiver application?
Absolutely. It sounds like the kind of waiver that we're looking for.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Senator Johnson.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Kennedy, first of all, thank you for your willingness to serve and for putting up with this abuse. 5 minutes is even close to refute all of the falsehoods that have been confidently spewed during this hearing. We'll talk about real data here, okay? Well, first of all, thank you for breaking the logjam of information of HHS. My committee's got now over 8 million pages of information. Just in the first tranche, by the way, what we discovered is that the CDC, somebody in the federal health agencies, this is interagency communication, hid the signal. They admitted there was a signal on myocarditis, and they hid it. They didn't warn the public. They didn't warn doctors. So that's just one instance of corruption and lies told by the CDC. We've got a lot of others. We'll be
rolling out, okay? So we held our first hearing in front of the subcommittee investigation on that hiding of the signal myocarditis. We've heard a lot of studies, okay? As I've looked into science, it's been thoroughly corrupted. Here's data, and I'd like to enter this sheet into the record. I've been publishing this chart for, since really early 2021, when I'm on, for example, talk radio shows and they talk about this, they get deplatformed, or they were, because all the censorship in the Biden administration. Here's the facts. The VAERS system that was touted in October of 2020, this great safety surveillance system on COVID, a few months later, when they didn't like the results, they started denigrating their own system. But VAERS shows that there have been 38,742 deaths reported on VAERS worldwide associated with COVID vaccine. 38,742. 9,252 of those deaths occurred on the day of vaccination within 1 or 2 days. Again, I agree with you. Nobody knows how many COVID deaths were because the information was completely corrupted. Nobody knows how many lives were saved by the COVID. Again, I think most people, okay, if you're vulnerable, raise your antibodies, reverse severity, fine. There's not any good study on that. There's just information out there, just claims being made. This is hard evidence. And certainly what I've been advocating for are the injection injured, the childhood vaccine injured. We're going to be holding a hearing next Tuesday on a study done by a high integrity healthcare facility that shows, that actually looked at vaccinated versus unvaccinated, very high quality study. I'm not going to steal the thunder of Aaron Sear, who's going to be testifying on this. I think you're aware of the study that shows the vaccinated population far more prone to chronic illness than people completely unexposed to vaccines. That is just one example of how science has been corrupted by the way, the study was conducted, and when they conducted it, oh no matter what the results are, we're going to release this. They got the results in 2000. It is yet to be released. We're going to enter that in the record on Tuesday. Do you want to just talk about what you've witnessed in terms of the capture of the agencies that you're now in charge of, the corruption of science, which I believe you just said, that is almost your number one goal, right? Is try to bring integrity and credibility back to science, which has been corrupted by the people who pay for it, by federal health agencies being captured by pharmaceutical industries, by big pharma, by big food. I want to give you, I'm sorry, just the last minute to, first of all, defend yourself, but talk about the corruption of science that you're having to deal with and trying to correct.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give you one example, and I could sit here and give you thousands. But in 2002, CDC did an internal study of Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia children, and looked at children who got the MMR vaccine on time and compared those to kids who got them later. So in other words, kids who got them before 36 months and kids who got them afterward. The data from that study showed that Black boys who got the vaccine on time had a 260% greater chance of getting an autism diagnosis than children who waited.
Not Black boys.
The chief scientist on that, Dr. William Thompson, the senior vaccine safety science at CDC, was ordered to come into a room with 4 other co-authors by his boss, Frank DeStefano, who's the head of the immunization safety branch, and ordered to destroy that data. And then they published it without that fact. So you know that story, I know that story, and you know of hundreds of stories like that. It happens all the time. We are being lied to by these agencies, and we're going to change that right now.
It's going to be out of business. I just want to enter that in record as well.
Without objection. The committee will take a 5-minute quick break here just to allow just a moment of reset here, and then we'll start right back up again in about 5 minutes.
Without objection. Without objection.
I don't see how you go. So, Mr. Secretary, and I guess before the press labels me wrong, I'm not anti-vaccine either. I think MMR's been a great vaccine, the DPT's been a great vaccine, polio's been a great vaccine, smallpox, so there are great, but it's the measured approach that we're after, the transparency, you're trying to empower parents here. What I feel the difference is, sometimes my friends across the aisle feel like there's a one-size-fits-all, that they should be telling parents what to do. And what you and I are fighting for is we want to empower parents to make these decisions. I want to talk about morbidity and mortality of COVID for just a second. It is so true that two things can be true, and I don't understand why, just the rabbit hole some of my colleagues are going down. There's a big difference. When I was out there practicing, doing volunteer work, I was so confused myself on the numbers. People dying with COVID versus from COVID. And we still don't have that message. And I think that's what I hear you saying as well. How many people died from COVID versus with COVID is a different answer. The situation today is so different when this monster virus was made at a laboratory in Wuhan, China, and none of us had ever seen this virus and we had no immunity to it. But today, every American's had COVID a dozen times probably, and we've built up immunity. And I think that's why both things are true. It was a miracle. Warp speed was a miracle. What President Trump and his team did, and it saved millions of lives most likely. But it's also true that it probably killed some people. Like most vaccines, there is a death rate associated. So both things are true. Anything else you want to clear up on the morbidity, mortality of COVID and COVID vaccines?
Well, I think you just cleared it up. The COVID vaccine was critical. President Trump's leadership got it to us when our society was locked down and allowed us to open up. It was, as I said, perfectly matched to a virus that was new in the experience of humanity. And so it was a miracle. Right now, we're dealing with completely different circumstances, where the virus has mutated, where it's much less dangerous, where there's a lot of natural immunity and herd immunity. And so the calculus is different, and it's complicated. And, if you just want to turn everything into a soundbite, it makes it, you can't have a grown-up conversation. But, there were more reports to VAERS, which is the only surveillance system that we have, of injuries and deaths from that vaccine than all vaccines put together in history. So we have to acknowledge that there was a cause. We acknowledge that there was a benefit. We can't quantify either one because of the data chaos at CDC, and that's all I'm saying. And they think I'm being evasive because I won't make a kind of a statement that's almost religious in nature. Did it save 1 million lives? Well, there's no data to support that. There may be data, there's no study, there's modeling studies, there's faulty data. I'm not going to sign on to something if I can't do it to a scientific certainty. It doesn't mean that I'm, anti-vax. It just means I'm pro-science.
Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. Senator Lujan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Daskalakis, who recently resigned as director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, his resignation letter stated he and his team were never allowed to brief you. I'm curious who you're listening to, since it's clear you're not listening to qualified experts like Dr. Daskalakis. Can you give the committee the name of the person?
I don't consider Dr.
Mr. Secretary, the question that I have for you is, can you give the committee a name of who you're getting briefed by?
I'm getting briefed all the time by CDC.
Just a name.
Well, Dr. William Thompson's one name.
Thank you very much, sir.
Now, but I can get you a whole list of others. It's on my schedule.
Mr. Secretary, that's not a hard question. You know a lot of answers.
I'm not being evasive.
Okay, then you answered it. Let's go on. Now, you said that you're soon going to release a study claiming to reveal the cause of autism, timed unsurprisingly with the upcoming ACIP meeting to justify taking vaccines from Americans. Now, as you know, autism affects millions of children, so I guess you'd have the nation's top medical experts working on this. Mr. Kennedy, you hired a man named David Geyer to conduct this study. Is that correct?
No.
Is Mr. David Geyer working for HHS?
He's a contractor, but he's not conducting the study.
He's a contractor?
He's a
Do
contractor.
you know who works for you, Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah,
Do you know that Mr. Geyer is listed as a HHS on the employee directory as a senior data analyst, not a contractor?
he's a contractor. He's not an SGE.
So is your website wrong?
He's not an SGE. I don't know what.
I'm going to pull up the website for you.
He's a contractor.
If the website says he is a senior data analyst, will you at least admit to the committee?
Well, I don't know if a contractor can be classified as a senior data analyst or not.
Is Mr. Geyer a doctor?
No,
Did you know he never went to medical school?
he's not. He's not practicing medicine.
Did you know that he got caught in Maryland and was charged for practicing medicine without a medical license?
He was charged by the medical board. He sued the medical board, and the medical board was found to have acted in actual malice and was fined $2.6 million by a judge in Maryland for doing that.
See, so you choose to know a lot when you want to know a lot. It's incredible, Mr. Kennedy.
Senator, you're ridiculous.
So here's the question I have.
What he really want to say is, you
brought him in to
motherfucker.
do this study. I think there's no
You
question.
I told
motherfucker.
you he's not doing a study.
Is he participating in the study?
No, what
Is he
he's
doing
doing.
any analysis in regards to this study?
No, what he's doing is getting access to the vaccine safety data link, which is the biggest repository of
motherfucker.
vaccine information that your friend will not give us for 7 months. For
Mr.
7 months.
Secretary, let me ask you this question, just because you know the answer. What is Mr. Geyer doing?
He is the only one, because Congress ordered CDC to open up the VSD to him in 2002. He's the only outsider who's ever seen it. So because CDC will not give us the
Mr. Secretary, is he participating in this then?
No, he is.
You just said he's the only dude that knows what's going on here.
Do you want me to explain it to you, Senator, or do you
No, because
just
you're
want to
confusing me.
show? You just want to showboat?
I'll submit
You
this.
just want to showboat for your answer, or do you want to hear a real answer to your question?
Mr. Secretary, you choose to know answers to questions with some colleagues.
I'm willing to give you the answer. I'm willing to give you the
Mr.
answer.
Secretary, someone should have asked you, maybe President Trump should have asked you, are you a trustworthy person? And we should have waited for an answer then. Let's move
I don't
on.
even know what you're talking about. You're talking gibberish.
Mr. Secretary, let me speak slowly and clearly so that you can understand me through my New Mexico accent.
And then give me a chance to
Does this
answer.
help? Can you understand me?
Yes.
Appreciate that. Mr. Secretary, yes or no, did you hire Mr. Geyer to do this study?
No.
Mr. Chairman, well, let me ask, maybe we'll just get a good answer here. Mr. Secretary, will you commit to sharing the protocols used for the autism study with Congress and to the public?
They're public.
Will you commit to giving it to this committee by the end of the week?
No, not because
you commit to
that's
give-
not the way it works.
Will you
You don't
commit,
even know what you're talking
Mr.
about.
Secretary, will you commit to sharing the protocols?
Just look
for
at him
study
in the
by
face
end
and
of the
say,
month?
Senator, I was never on steroids.
We put out
Senator, I was
the
never on
and the
steroids.
scientists
I
put
just
it
got
all
bigger
over the
and bigger.
No, you're not understanding how the world works.
Do you understand what the protocols
Senator,
are?
You don't understand how the world works.
The scientists who are doing the studies submit the protocol.
He said, you don't understand how the world works. He said the world want the truth. He said, I don't think the world want the truth.
Anybody can get a hold of the protocol. It's published with the study.
Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to ask is for your commitment here. I'll send a letter to the Secretary. I'll ask for support from the leadership of this committee to ask for those protocols. If those protocols are not given to this
Anybody
committee,
can get the protocols.
Mr. Secretary, I'm not talking to you. Mr. Chairman,
If the protocols are public, we can work with you.
What I'm asking, Mr. Chairman, is that if those protocols are not given to this committee, I'm asking for your agreement that we follow through with a subpoena to get them.
No, I will not agree to subpoena anything. Let's see.
He don't have a speech impediment. He has no problem with his speech.
I appreciate that, Mr.
His
Chairman.
words are coming out fine. He don't have a list or nothing.
The questions here today, people just want to know the truth.
So it's not a speech impediment.
When,
I don't think so.
Mr. Secretary, you don't think so? Thank
It
you.
ain't like he's got
I
Tourette's.
hope everyone recording that got that because they're explaining
Look, right
the
there.
Secretary's tenure
He said
here.
people just want to know the truth. The
Two young
secretary
ladies
said,
at
I don't think
the
so.
town hall recently gave me this starfish pin. I was going to give it to you today, but after your
He said people don't want to know the
you
truth.
deserve it, because what this represents is to remember that every one of us can make a difference, sir.
No, his
Something
words.
as small as a starfish on a beach that maybe got washed up, you throw it back in the ocean. You might not save them all, but you can save one. I'm sorry that you're not worthy of this nice little pin, sir, as a nice reminder. I'm going to pray for you, Secretary Kennedy. I hope we do better. I want you
What's
to
his
do better.
diagnosis
But
then?
today was a failure for you, man. I yield back.
Senator Warnock.
Thank you, Brother Chair. Less than a month ago, we received the heartbreaking news that a gunman opened fire at the CDC campus in Atlanta, Georgia. This obviously is my neck of the woods. This is heart-wrenching for all Americans, but for those of us especially who live in that area. The DeKalb County police officer, David Rose, was killed. The shots hit buildings on campus in at least 180 places, narrowly missing the CDC's daycare center. Law enforcement recovered nearly 500 shell casings. Clearly, he came to do a lot of damage. It's a miracle, and thanks to the quick action of Metro Atlanta and state law enforcement, more people were not killed. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation announced that prior to the attack, the gunman expressed discontent with the COVID vaccine and, quote, wanted to make the public aware of his distrust of the vaccines. Secretary Kennedy, I assume you are aware of these disturbing reports of the gunman's motives?
Yes.
And, I understand that some people may have concerns about new medical breakthroughs, but those people don't have the world's top medical experts working under them. You've been over HHS for 7 months now. Have you ever been briefed by CDC's career immunization officials to discuss your concerns?
And by the way, every member of this panel.
Have you ever been briefed?
President Trump and demonized them.
Have you ever
Are
been
you
briefed?
complicit in the assassination attempts on President Trump?
Sir, I'm asking the questions. You are the witness. It's a simple yes or no question. Have you ever been briefed by CDC's career immunization officials to discuss their concerns?
Yes, I have.
What was the answer?
Yes.
You have been briefed by CDC officials, the career immunization officials, to express your
The senior vaccine safety scientist, for example.
Have you ever been to the CDC as secretary before the shooting on August 8th?
Have I ever been there as secretary?
Have you been there as secretary before the shooting? Okay. Let's return to the shooting and the aftermath. Secretary Kennedy, I'm about to ask you a series of yes or no questions about the events of the past month. And I would appreciate just a yes or no response. You called Dr. Manarez to your office on
That's the
August
trick,
25th for a
to
meeting.
ask them the questions that
If
can't be answered with a yes or no.
I just don't know the day.
And force a yes or no.
Was Jim O'Neill the man you just appointed as acting director of CDC in the room on whatever date you met with him, since you can't recall? Was he in the room when you met with Dr. Manarez? In that meeting, did you criticize Dr. Manarez for her statements to CDC following the shooting where she said, quote, misinformation can be dangerous?
I don't believe so. I have no record.
You don't believe you criticized her?
Oh, I criticized her.
Did you criticize
Not
her?
for that.
Did you criticize her?
I don't even.
Did you criticize her for her statements to CDC workers following the shooting?
Did I what?
Did you demand that she fire career scientists or public experts at the CDC?
Yes.
Did you demand that she accept the recommendations of your hand-picked vaccine advisory panel without further review by career CDC scientists?
No, I did not.
You didn't ask for her commitment ahead of time that she would accept the recommendations from the advisory panel.
No, what I asked her about is she had made a statement that she was going to not sign on, and I wanted clarification about that.
Did you tell her to accept the advisory panel's recommendations?
I told her I didn't want her to have a rule that she's not gonna sign on to it.
Did you say that the CDC was, quote, the most corrupt federal agency in the history of the world?
Not the history of the world, but definitely
Did you
within
say-
HHS.
Did you say that?
I did not say that, but I did say it's the most corrupt agency in HHS, and maybe the government.
So you call the CDC corrupt. Did you say that CDC staff are, quote, horrible people?
Horrible people?
Did you say that they're killing children and they don't care?
No.
Okay, I think that we all have a history of listening to you and these answers, but you're on the record for a number of these statements. Despite your lack of credentials and expertise, clearly you have an agenda. It is a threat to the public health of the American people. It's clear that you are carrying out your extremist beliefs, which is why you attempted to fire
Senator, we're the sickest people in the world. We're the sickest people on earth.
I'm speaking.
How am I a threat?
Secretary Kennedy, for the first time, we're seeing deaths from children from measles. We haven't seen that in 2 decades. We're seeing that under your watch. You are a hazard to the health of the American people.
Can I respond to that, Senator?
No, I play back my time.
We need to wrap
You
up.
are a hazard to the health of the American people. I think that you ought to resign. And if you don't resign, the President of the United States, who put forward Operation Warp Speed, which worked, should fire you. Thank you so much.
Senator Welch.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I want to sum up.
Basically, what they saying is, you need to just step down because you're not doing no good for the American people. In fact, you literally stated that, we lost more lives with the vaccine than the COVID. And if we would have allowed COVID to keep going, we would have lost a tremendous amount of lives, according to doctors, whatever they want to call themselves. Now, if this is based off population, then it's going exactly how you guys planned. You guys will lower the population and so on and so forth.
Well, thanks for hosting this. I mean, this is quite a group to get together. And
Hold on,
I
let's
think,
listen to this real quick.
all of the companies here are building.
They played
Thank
it.
you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be here with this group of people. They're leading a rep. Maybe describe some of the great things that you're doing with your company. I know, Mark, you're building some buildings that are as large as Manhattan. That was pretty good, right? It's pretty good. So I thought you'd say a few words so we could take a couple of questions.
Now, you notice Mark Zuckerberg is there. This is all the techs. All the money that the techs gave to Trump. How much money is Apple's putting in? How much money is,
All of the companies here are
Microsoft putting in? Every company at this table invested into Donald Trump in order to get recognition.
Power the next wave of innovation. So it's we don't often get together as the CEOs of the different companies, but it's good to see.
I think it was 26.
How much are you spending, would you say, over the next few years?
How much are you investing?
I think it's probably going to be something like,
It's all money.
I don't know, at least $600 billion.
$600 billion.
In the U.S. Yeah.
It's a lot.
No, it's not. It's significant.
2028, $600 billion.
Thank you.
Great to have you. David, you've done a wonderful job in working with the White House, a great expert. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor to work here at the White House and to work for you. You really care about this industry and all Americans, and I think you've done a tremendous amount already to unleash our innovators and also help build out the infrastructure of the country. And it's doing a lot, not just for tech companies, but for ordinary working Americans, the construction industry, the trades, electricians, carpenters. There's a boom happening right now in AI because of what President Trump has done in terms of stimulating investment. It's going to benefit all Americans. So it's really a thrill to be part of, and this is a really incredible group that you've assembled here. And it's like I said, it's just a great honor to have a foot in each one of these worlds and being part of it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And Sergey, you were saying a lot in the Oval Office. I figured just somebody that likes to speak with his Really wonderful.
Look how she keep comforting him. Look how she keep comforting him. Watch how she just keeps rubbing his back, keeps on like soothing him, comforting him. Watch her.
Your presence, I'm so grateful. So thank you. It's like I can't believe it every time, like the inauguration here. I think you're doing amazing work.
Thank you very much.
We actually were just with.
Watch when he speaks. Watch when he speaks.
Leopold.
He's in Venezuela.
Right.
And you
Don't even know the names of the people she trying to talk about.
And I think that's phenomenal for an American president to actually be applying pressure there in Venezuela and then hopefully in Cuba and so forth. So there's a lot of civil rights work that you're leading. We didn't get a chance to mention.
Watch when Trump give him the attaboy. When Trump give him the attaboy, she's gonna rub his back.
Talked about in the Oval Office.
Like, good job.
I think it's a real incredible inflection point right now in AI, and the fact that your administration is supporting our companies instead of fighting with them. It's hugely important. Obviously, it's a global race, and I think we're at the cusp where these AI models are about to become profoundly useful, kind of beyond the, okay, wow, it's cool, can do that, but actually day-to-day incredible utility, incredible productivity. So very grateful for your administration support.
Well, you had a very good day yesterday. Google had a very good day yesterday. And you want to talk about that big day you had yesterday?
Google. See? Comfort rub.
Don't forget, Biden was the one that prosecuted that lawsuit.
Yeah, like a toddler. Thank you. I'm glad somebody else noticed that. I don't need you fucking rubbing my back every time I hit my cue markers. I don't need you rubbing my back every time you feel like I completed the sentence properly. Like,
ever seen or will see in our lifetimes. So making sure the US is at the forefront, and I think your administration is investing a lot. Already the AI action plan under your leadership, I think, is a great start, and we look forward to working together. And thanks.
Yeah, they all lined up to kiss ass.
Incredible, really, John.
It's very toddler-like, don't you think? Look, there it go again, that fucking back rub. It's all she did the whole time was just look. She just do the comfort rub. Look.
Conductor industry, we're building the brains behind all of the wonderful AI that's being built here.
Fucking comfort rub. Old toddler ass. I'm a baby type shit. Like she probably feeds him his food.
For that support, and we had a wonderful event this afternoon.
She probably fucking feeds him.
AI education plan. So I think the main message.
Look, he's with it. Look how he got his arm over there on her. Look, he's with the shit. He's a fucking baby, man.
A short period of time, really amazing.
He's an old ass
And
baby.
I see somebody down there, Bill, from Microsoft that has done a pretty good job too.
Insecurity, that's all that is. High levels of insecurity right there. You know it is. Y'all know that shit is. That's a man child. She still chop up his steak. Guaranteed she still chop up his steak.
Together, and the policies that you have put in place for the United States to lead. And one of the things that I think has made this industry unique is not only the innovation,
Guarantee she chop up his steak.
that you have obviously championed for us all over the world, and also the trust the world has on American.
No, you give him if you proud of him, give him some pussy when he get home. You don't rub no grown ass man back because you proud of them. You rub a toddler's back. You do that to a kid. You do that good job, pat on the back shit to a kid, not a grown ass man sitting in the Oval Office with the president. You want to tell me I did a good job? Wait till we get home and give me some cutty. Like,
economic opportunity that comes with AI, and so I deeply appreciate your leadership there as well. Thank you.
A really amazing job you've done.
she's holding his hand through the meeting. That's what it looks like. She's holding his hand. Like he's not a man, you know what I'm saying, without her by his side. She's holding his hand. She does the talking.
Satya's good work has helped multiply a lot. But I think the thing that ties...
Shit, as a grown man, y'all know what our reward is. Our reward is some freaky shit. Our reward is some cutty. Y'all say we do a good job, y'all throw some pussy at us. Y'all know that shit. Come on now. Don't motherfucking rub my back.
vaccines or gene editing, and the president and I are talking about taking American innovation to the next level to cure and even eradicate some of these diseases.
Look at Melania. She's sitting there looking like a robot.
One that we're close. We don't need new science on that one.
No wonder why she's pushing AI technology.
Sickle cell.
She looked like a robot right there.
But the U.S. Has the seeds that, in the same way that Warp Speed took those seeds and put them together, I think
Tell me she don't.
fantastic can be done.
She looked like she's sitting there reminding herself to blink.
For our foundation is that we want a doctor for everyone.
Look at her. She's sitting there reminding herself to blink like a human.
We want farmers to have incredible advice and kids to have a chance to learn. So the work being done by the people at this table is changing.
Look, don't forget to blink.
Coming fast, so it's great. We all get together and talk about how the U.S. can lead in this key area and apply it even
Don't forget to blink.
to the poorest outside the U.S. as well as to our great citizens. So thank you for incredible leadership, including getting this group together.
Thank you, Bill. That was very nice. Tim Cook, you've done an incredible job.
All CEOs of major companies.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Little company called Apple. They about to put in 600 billion.
That means a lot to me. I want to thank you for including me this evening.
John, nobody cares if you think I'm weird. There's almost 9 billion people on this planet. Your opinion is just like everybody else's. You got one because you got an ass, just like everybody else. So whether you think I'm weird, thank you. Weird is running the world right now. Matter of fact, people like weird. I probably got more people attracted to my weirdness than you do with whatever it is that you do.
Your leadership and your focus on innovation. I also want to thank you for helping American companies around the world. This is a very key thing, and I really enjoy working with your administration on those topics as well.
Thank you, Mama Didi. Thank you.
I want to thank the First Lady for focusing on education. There's nothing more important than education.
It's AI education. It's not education. Y'all took cursive out the school. Y'all got fucking no kid left behind. Every kid is just passing adults that don't know how to read now.
I believe in the power of technology to improve people's lives, and that is the thing that
This is educating AI. This is educating
How much money
artificial intelligence. It's not educating the people. Look, talk that money. Talk that money, Trump. You a businessman. You is not a presidential politic. You is a businessman.
600 billion.
They got to talk money to Trump. You ain't want to hear none of that other shit. How much money you giving us? 600 billion. All right. That's all we want to know. Talk to me about that money.
Do you want to tell us about what you're doing? You told me things.
Yeah, we love weird.
Absolutely unbelievable. So what are you doing?
First of all, to echo the comments.
Green eyes, I know that shit everywhere.
Getting us all together.
Money rules the world.
Pro-business, pro-innovation president.
We don't care about people no more.
Change. We're very excited to see what you're doing to make all of our companies.
Yes, we're gonna have to switch to homeschool soon. Education system is failing our youth. We're gonna have to switch to small home systems. If you got somebody in your neighborhood that's a teacher, see if y'all can put in money and drop the kids off at that person's house. Look into the K-12 program. Put your kid in the K-12 program, find somebody in your community that can teach them. And then everybody pay for that person in the community that teaching your kid. Like, we don't actually need to use the system that's provided. We can create a better system. We can find the teachers in our neighborhood and allow them to do online classes with our kids, right? You can set your own schedule of education with your kids.
So thank you so much for enabling this. We will invest a ton in the United
And you got to bring back homework.
We will do our best.
Got to bring back homework. Stop letting them do that shit in school. That's called schoolwork.
Well worth it.
Bring your homework home, or I'm going to make homework for you.
Come to think of it, how much is Google investing?
My kids will tell you, I made homework for them. What? Today you got to do math and science. Today you got to pick 2 subjects to do at home. I made homework for my kids. It's the reason why my kids graduated with a 3.8 and a 3.6 grade point average. I was not raising no dummies. I was not raising no dummies. And before y'all try to say I'm lying about what my kids graduated with, I keep my kids' diploma with me like a trophy of completion. You hear me? I keep my kids' diploma with me. You get what I'm saying? I keep their diploma with me because I'm proud of them. You know? I'm proud of them. You see this? I keep their diploma with me. Both my boys. And Seven's going to graduate next. Keep their diplomas. It's my trophy. You know? My trophies. You know? Where's the paper at that say they graduated with a 3.8 and a 3.6? See this? GPA? See the GPA? Right? 3.6. 9 weeks. 4th week, 3.0. Right? Y'all might want to make it seem like people is dumb. Y'all might want to make it seem like I'm uneducated. Y'all might want to make me out to be a bad person or whatever the case may be. But, you know, I ain't raised no dummies. That's for sure. I didn't raise no dummies, you know. That's one thing for sure, you know. Hold on. Let me show you the other one. Let me show you the other one. See that? See that? 3.1, 3.1, 3.2, 3.8, right? 3.8. Final, a 3.6, right? Or second half, right? I need to see it. I need to see it, nephew. I need to see it, you know? Sometimes we need to brag about this type of stuff. Maybe that's my point. Maybe we too busy, you know, praising our kids for bad shit. You know, maybe if my kids was out there in the street being gangster and shit like that, then we'll see the praisal in that, right? When the kids out there joining gangs and fucking hitting licks and doing fucked up shit, y'all praise them for that. But when somebody go to praise their kids for fucking graduation, you say, oh, that's enough. Get out of here with that. But when your kids go out there and fucking shoot up something for Boosie, he a living legend. When your kids make it through fucking high school, it's stop talking about it. When your kids go out there and do the Boosie shit, they fucking talk about it forever. Stop playing, man. Y'all got y'all moral compass fucked up. You should be praising me more for talking about that. You should be clapping it up for talking about that. And when you talk about the dumb shit that's going on, the YSLs, the young thugs, the fucking kids that's shaking their ass, that's the ones that y'all praise in the black community. But when we talk about the kids graduating in the black community, it's, oh man, stop talking about that shit. Half our kids is not even making it through fucking high school. But y'all just say, stop talking about it. No, I'm fucking gonna keep on talking. Every chance I get, I'm gonna talk about my kids fucking graduating. Fuck is y'all talking about? Half of our kids ain't even making it to 18. They taking each other out. So every chance I get, I'm going to talk about my kids. Every chance I get, I'm going to praise them. They supposed to be better than me, and I'm going to make sure of it. Fuck is you talking about? Tell me to stop talking about my kids. Anytime I want to talk about my kids, I'm going to talk about my kids. Fuck is you talking about? Don't ever tell me to stop praising my kids.
Am I right? Some young, some not so young. Mostly young, come to think.
You want me to praise the fucking rapists and the pedophiles? You want me to praise them? No, fuck that. Praise my kids. They making it in a world that black people don't fucking rarely make it. They making it in a world where fucking black youth is tore down every day. Praise my kids.
Thing is what AI will do for all of us. And I think that there's been a choice of whether to approach it with optimism. And I think that that's what I've really seen from this administration. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Great job you're doing. Incredible job you're doing. I know every inch that you're building, and I can't believe it. They're big, the biggest buildings ever. You know, we talked about 100-story buildings. These buildings blow them away, right? So I just want to
Join the Discord if you got a video to share.
Up and down, but they blow everything away. So congratulations. Would anybody like to say anything, please? Satya? Would you like to go, Saffron?
RFK Jr., yeah, easy.
This is a most incredible time. AI is going to change everything. You hear all
You know,
of this
society not gonna praise them.
that you are
You know what I'm saying? Their own peers is not gonna praise them.
you've unleashed
Their society is based on sarcasm and tearing each other down. So I'm gonna give them the praisal that they need.
basically every cabinet post in addition
Every
to
chance
what's
I
coming
get.
out of the White House is making
From
it
the
possible
highest mountaintops to the lowest valleys.
Today's event that was
Fuck y'all talking about?
spearheaded by
They
our
graduated
wonderful
high
First
school. That's a
Lady,
big accomplishment. What is y'all talking about? Our kids are dropping out 8th grade.
where we need to go.
What is we talking
Because
about?
It is all of these young people who can't be afraid of new technologies. They literally have to embrace it and make America even stronger. And that focus was very, very
Man,
critical.
don't piss me off when it comes to my kids.
Exciting time
If I'm
in
talking about my kids, let me get it out. Shit.
ever,
Let me
at
get
least
it
that
out.
I remember.
Fucking
So
hella
thank
proud
you.
of them.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
My daughter graduated too. My daughter like 24. She about to get married. Her and her girlfriend about to get married.
Involved with and running. I just want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank the media. They've been very nice lately, although I'm still here. So we have to. They made a couple of bad predictions. That was not good. I've never had
I
that
would show y'all
before.
pictures of my kids, but I don't want people to start trying to,
Coming up to me and saying,
you know,
"You're still here."
do
I
that
said,
weird
"What do you
shit.
mean by that? I didn't hear about this." But anyway, but I do. The press has been great in terms of this industry, and they understand the importance of it. This is taking our country to a new level. We're leading the world. We're leading China, but we're leading the world by a lot. And we're leading it because of the people around the table. And all I can do is implement and make it a lot easier.
Hey,
for you.
Monica,
And
keep
I'll
that
be
stuff
doing
to
it
yourself,
100%.
man.
So I just want to thank
We
you.
don't
all.
do that. You
Yes,
don't
did
wish
you have a
unaliving on nobody.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Don't wish
Tomorrow,
unaliving
the
on
jobs
nobody.
report coming out, the first since the BLS commissioner who you fired.
I mean, you could dislike people with a passion, but come on, the unaliving,
You believe the data.
that's harsh.
Can you commit to saying
Well,
the
we'll
data
have
will
to
be
see
credible?
what the number, I don't know, they come out tomorrow, but the real numbers that I'm talking about are going to be whatever.
Grand Rising.
But will be in a year from now when these monstrous, huge, beautiful places, they're palaces of genius. And when they start opening up, you're seeing, I think you'll see job numbers that are going to be.
So is it like,
incredible. Right now it's.
is the age of technology, this push that he's working for, is this age of technology, is it going to, educate our youth more? Is it going to make them more advanced in learning and wanting to learn? Or, is this going to teach, artificial intelligence? Is this for the benefit of people or the benefit of artificial intelligence? It seems like it's more so beneficial to technology and artificial intelligence than it is about, helping people. I seen Melania Trump's yesterday's meeting, whatever you want to call it, educational meeting, and she said, treat AI like your kids. That's what she said. She said, treat AI like your kids. So now, the way we teach our kids is the way we supposed to teach AI? Is AI our kids? I thought AI was supposed to be helping and teaching us. Now, we could use AI for the beneficial of farming, right? We can make it so the drones can drop off food to the pig. We can make it so that, you know, the slop can drop at a specific time, so that way we don't have to go out there and feed them. We can make it so that the water in their pits replaces itself after every so often, so we won't have to do that, right? We can make it so that, you know, we can use the technology in the farming field to help with the crops and stuff, as opposed to putting it in the marketplace to take away human discernment, right? We need the human discernment in the workplace, right? I don't want to go to Walmart and talk to a computer. I don't want to. Some people go to Walmart just for social interaction. You guys know that, right? You look at some of these down south places, people go to Walmart and just park their trucks in the back of the parking lot and just have a parking lot party. People go to the, you know what I mean? So we know that Walmart is more than just going to buy stuff, because sometimes you go to Walmart and find yourself talking to somebody for 45 damn minutes. Don't know where time went, right? So people actually go to Walmart for social interaction. And they said the absence of social interaction could drive people crazy. We can all be running around like Will Smith and I Am Legend, talking about something. What you doing over here, Jake? What you doing over here, Jake? You supposed to be on the other side of town at the movie store. You know what I'm saying? Fucking with our mind and shit. Reciting the whole damn movie from Shrek. You know what I mean? Stuck in the house. Eating eggs and shit. Right? So people go out for social interaction more than anything. You know?
A lot of construction numbers.
One's in the chat if you understand. One's in the chat.
Our country has never seen before. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two questions for you. First, after your phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky,
Michael
today,
Fuller,
do you
just go watch the
foresee
movie I Am
President
Legend.
Putin in the near future?
Just go watch the movie I Am Legend.
I will be, yeah, I will be. We're having a very good dialogue. I settled 7 wars. The one that I thought would be maybe one of the easiest.
Parking
you know that
lots
feeling?
in
You think one
Walmart,
thing
they
is going to be
do
easier,
it
turns out
inside.
to be a little bit tougher,
Mine
but
keep me from getting
the
more
one that I
stuff
thought
with
would be an easier one because of my relationship.
The family
with
reunion's
President
going
Putin
on
and
inside of
Ukraine and
Walmart.
everything else. I thought it would be
Can't
the
even get the
Russia-Ukraine
checkout.
disaster, where this week 7,014 people were killed. Soldiers, in most cases, soldiers. A few from Kiev, relatively few, but mostly soldiers, and they're being
Settled
killed
no
at
wars.
levels that we haven't seen since
He
World
say
War
7.
II.
Well, he say
And,
really
They're
10.
not American. They're not from any of the countries that some of you are from.
But you know,
they're,
misinformation
they're
is
people,
ruling our nation.
And
You know.
we'll get
Oh, I
it
need a
done.
backdrop that
But
say
that's
that.
turned out to be
Misinformation
group. You know,
rules the
I settled,
nation.
3 wars.
Oh
One
yeah, I
was
need a
31
backdrop that
years
says
going.
that.
A lot of people killed, 10 million people. Another was 34, and another was 37 years it was going on. And people said you can't settle them, and I settled them. This one turned out.
Y'all
to
make
be
sure
more
y'all
difficult,
check out the Trump or
but
Treat
we'll get it.
shirts.
We're gonna get it settled.
We got the Trump or Treat shirts out for
Do you have
Halloween.
full confidence in what RFK Jr. is doing?
Well, I didn't get to watch the hearings today, but he's a very good person. He's and he means very well, and he's got some little different ideas. I guarantee a lot of the people at this table like RFK Jr. and I do, but he's got a different take, and we want to listen to all of those takes. But I heard he did very well today, but it's not your standard. It's not your standard.
He
talk.
didn't do very well. Trump, he didn't do very well. Look, make sure y'all go check out the Trump or Treat shirts, all right? The Trump or Treat shirts are in the store now. Go get you your Trump or Treat shirts. They are in the store, all right? So go get you a Trump or Treat shirt. Or if you are a Trump fan, go get you a Trump's Your Treat shirt, all right? Go get you a Trump's Your Treat shirt. So Trump is your treat, or Trump or Treat, all right? So make sure y'all go check that out in the, make sure y'all go get that shirt. It's in the clothing store. So if one of the mods will post the link to the clothing store, y'all can go check that out. you know, Trump's your treat. I think that'd be nice to see people wearing that for Halloween. It'd be hilarious. I think it'd be something good.
I would say that, and that has to do with medical and vaccines. But if you look at what's going on in the world with health, and look at this country also with regard to health, I like the fact that he's different. Okay?
Thinking on semiconductor tariffs, sir, which you're considering imposing, and have you discussed that with any of the leaders?
Yeah, I have. I've discussed it with the people here. Chips and semiconductors. There will be putting tariffs on companies that aren't coming in. We'll be putting a tariff very shortly. You probably are hearing we'll be putting a fairly substantial tariff on, not that high, but fairly
Oklahoma in the
substantial tariff.
building. Appreciate you for
With the
being in the chat.
understanding that if they
Hope
come
you
into the
subscribe to the
country,
page.
If they're coming in, building, planning to come in, there will not be a tariff. If they're not coming in, there's a tariff, fairly substantial tariff. Well, I don't know if they're building here, and for the most part, I think they're building it.
I mean, to be honest, I think y'all gave us no choice but to put Trump in office. I mean,
Tim Cook would be in pretty good shape.
if you guys think about it, like if we were to put Kamala in office, and this has nothing to do with her being black, right? This has everything to do with her false and hidden agendas, and this has more so to do with the fact that a lot of leaders, a lot of foreign leaders, they don't even talk to women, right? So you got a lot of Muslim-based countries out there, right? And then you have a woman as a president going to try to speak to them. It's going to be very difficult for us to even sit down at the table with a lot of these foreign leaders, right? That's the truth about it, right? It had nothing to do with anything else. It was just the concept. Like at this time, do you think these things would have been accomplished? Do you think, you know, Putin would have sat down with Kamala Harris about the Ukraine war? Do you think that? Come on. If we're going to put a woman in for president, let's put her in there when we got a little bit more peace going on in the world, right? Now, if Trump complete this and we get peace in the world, then yes, let's get a lady president. Let's get a woman president, right? Because a woman would be in her nurturing mindset if we was at peace, right? But with us being at such a disarray, right? A woman being the president, she might be on some fuck it type shit. You know, women have the tendency to turn on that fuck it faster than anything else, you know? And she turned on that fuck it, like, because nobody want to sit down and talk to her. Nobody wants to meet with her. Now, America got to do what America do. And they already say we bullies, right? We got to pick the right time for it. You know what I mean? We got to pick the right time for a woman's president, because like, even though we might benefit from having a woman's president and being like the first in history to see a woman's president, and the rate that things are going, we might see a transgender president before we see a woman's president. You know what? Maybe I'm talking too much. You know, we're going to go ahead and listen to. Go ahead. Let's just go ahead and listen.
Urging or encouraging any candidates in the New York City mayor's race to drop out to clear the field?
No, I don't like to see a communist become mayor, I will tell you that. And I don't think you can win unless you have one-on-one, because somehow...
Shit, they got him in the NFL now. They got him cheerleading in the NFL now.
But I'd prefer not to have a communist mayor of New York City. And, you know, that's what he is based on his policy, if you look at his statements in the past. So I would like to see two people drop out and have it be one-on-one, and I think that's a race that could be won.
Mr. President, you'll be heading to the UK.
I ain't say nothing unserious or unsensitive. I ain't say nothing too dramatic.
On censorship online. He was asking politicians like yourself, some of the people in this room, to really push back on that.
I try to be mindful of my words at all times.
You don't mind answering. How concerning is that to you, the lack of freedom of speech online in the UK?
You didn't think you'd get that question. He's looking at me saying, how the hell? He's saying, how did I get that question? If you'd like to answer, free speech.
Sorry, I actually wasn't paying attention, but
There seems to be a crackdown. The British government seems to be cracking down on social media posts, people being arrested for tweets, social
I appreciate
posts.
you.
Just wondering how concerning that is to you, Mr. President.
Namaste.
This is the beginning of your political career.
no, it's not.
Look, Zuckerberg said, no, it's not. I'm not doing
I would
political.
just say that in
Making too
terms
much
of,
money, social media.
UK, strange things are happening over there. They are cracking down. Surprisingly,
Now
so
listen,
I've-
you guys might ask, like, why is this table important? Why are the people at the table important? Because through the form of technology, they're going to open up more jobs, right? So through social media, you know, that's why I say social media management is important right now. That's why you see Microsoft, Apple, Google, you know, social media companies sitting at the table. That's why you see all of them sitting at the table, because what they're going to do is they're going to open the door for education through social media, right? So now the classes will be more online because it is appeasing the AI, you know, race, right? So now they're going to open the door for more of this digital format, right? Skyping, you know, interviews online, training classes online, so on and so forth, learning online, and opening up the door for you to learn, you know, technology and how to work with it, right? So this is going to open up all those doors. That's why, you know, these companies are at the table. When you say, why is Bill Gates there? Why is Zuckerberg there? These are all the people in the technology race, and this also plays on their race for space also. So when you're thinking about space, you're thinking about the idea of what they told you space was. But when they're thinking about space, they know that space is in the minds of the multitude, right? So they want to push the idea of what they think the world is going to be like. So that way the minds of the multitude can create or manifest that reality. One's in the chat if that makes sense. So when you're seeing all of this stuff, it's just the world being one big stage. Space is actually in your mind, and we create our reality by how we shape our mind on a collective scale. Kind of like that, you know, 100 monkey serum or 100 monkey theory, whatever it was called, right? So based off of the collective, that's what shapes our world. And they want the collective to believe the idea that they are portraying. They did the same thing with the moon landing, you know, portray the idea. Everybody thought that America landed on the moon first. So the race for space was kind of, you know, halted. Whole time we were still trying to figure out how to get out or get past a certain point. And now they're back on that race for space, which is basically a data information, or, you know, what you see now with the internet, information war, data war, and the age of knowledge and the age of info. So you see people putting out different variations of info to try to inform, and so on and so forth. And then you have this disclosure, but you have to be cautious of what it is that they're disclosing, because if they're disclosing it and they're the same ones that kept it as a secret, then what they're disclosing is what they feel comfortable with letting us know. So if they're the original secret keepers, the original secret keepers is not going to fully disclose everything to you. They'll trickle it out over a period of time and make you think that you got a lot of it. And really, they probably just do a lot of circle talk.
Spoken to the Prime Minister, and let's see what happens. But it is a little bit different situation. I'm very surprised to see what's happening in. Are you talking about the UK in particular, right? Yeah, I'm very surprised to see what's happening. Sad. It's not a good thing. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you. America is first in artificial intelligence, but what are your concerns in the alliance of axis of evil, China, Russia, and North Korea towards artificial intelligence, but also as military, sir?
Well, I have no concerns. We have the most brilliant people at this table. and nobody's close. And I spoke to world leaders, and they admit privately, but they admit the biggest. They admit we have the smartest people, we have the greatest technology. They can copy, but they can't create like we can create. We have the smartest people in the world right at this table. So thank you for the question. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What's your reaction
Thank you.
to changing its vaccines?
I'll comment on that later. Thank you very much.
So we will wait for more to come
We
out.
started this morning. Today we once again convene to consider a state.
Families. You also played cheerleader for the one big beautiful bill that cuts health care for 15 million Americans and spikes household electricity prices nationwide by up to 18% over the next decade. Even if the Republicans on this committee force through his confirmation, Dr. Myron's tenure will be tainted. No one, not the American public, not investors here at home, not the worldwide financial markets, will trust him as an independent voice. Every claim he makes and every vote he takes will be tainted with the suspicion that he isn't an honest broker, but instead is Donald Trump's puppet. If we allow the Fed to become a political football, every American consumer, every American worker, and every American business will pay a long-term price. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I will now swear in the nominees. Will you please stand, rise, and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm?
Development. First in the city of Dunwoody, a suburb in Metro Atlanta, and then as the Director of Community Development in Grovetown, nestled between rural Georgia and Augusta. In these roles, I dealt directly with citizens on a daily basis and implemented a variety of reforms to help drive their communities toward their vision. These opportunities have taught me several valuable lessons about development in this country. First, while it's perhaps cliche, every community is different, and there's nothing more intimate and personal to a community than the nature of its housing stock. My home of Columbia County, Georgia, directly borders the city of Augusta, and the vision the citizens of these two communities have for their futures are almost polar opposites. This is to say nothing about the differences between these communities and those in Metro Atlanta, let alone across this vast nation of ours. Second, government regulation, even at the smallest levels, has a way of stifling development. Many builders in Georgia, who wanted nothing more than to add affordable homes to their communities, have a story to tell about me as a local government servant, having to shepherd them through the endless, costly hoops to do so. I've spent innumerable hours of my career rewriting ill-conceived sign regulations, antiquated zoning codes, and onerous tree ordinances, and then maneuvering the time-consuming public process to get them adopted. This lost time and money leads to a simple result: less affordable homes for hardworking Americans. The issues the position for which I am nominated addresses, community development, disaster relief, and homelessness, are issues that manifest locally and are solved locally. Misplaced federal regulation will only serve to magnify the challenges felt at the local level. The Department of Housing and Urban Development can empower our states and localities to solve these issues, but the current state of affairs makes clear that our old strategies have not worked. In the previous administration, housing prices skyrocketed to unfathomable levels. I watched it firsthand in Georgia, as new developments ultimately took the entry price off of their signs because they could not keep up with the constant inflation. Despite the HUD budget nearly doubling over the previous 4 years, we nonetheless saw a record number of homeless Americans reported in the latest point-in-time count released in January of this year. Through the money it distributes, the Office of Community Planning and Development can be a catalyst for real change at the ground level. But this capacity has too long been hampered by wasteful spending, burdensome regulation, and outdated performance metrics.
Before we get into this dragged out, man, it's gonna be long. As y'all can see, things are heating up, not only in the White House, but also in Congress. We still got the Epstein stuff to go through, waiting for that to come out. I mean, at this point, shoot, we probably be talking about this for the next 6 months, you know? But in the meantime, in between time, I want you guys to be great. I want you guys to have a great day. If nobody told you that they love you today, let me be the first and not the last to tell you that I love you, right? Remember, one's image of oneself should be greater than reality. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And Replay Gang, do your thing. Hope you guys, comment on the post. Love and light to everybody. I hope you guys be great on purpose today. And we will be back later on today. Maybe tonight. We'll be back after we find out what's going on. We're approaching the weekend, or we are Friday. So if it's Friday, then, we might not hear nothing till Monday. So we might do a panel tonight. I'm not sure. So you guys have a great day, man. I hope you guys have a great weekend, man. We're going to go over to TikTok and play the game for a little bit. I hope some more people join the Discord, but if not, we'll take the small, slow trickle that's coming in. Mods, I appreciate you. Guys always do a great job. Appreciate you keeping the comments. Would someone tell me when the circus is leaving town? They look like they're going to be around for the next 4 years, so love and light to everybody. Namaste.